It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Brought to you exclusively on Kiss FM by J. Michael, fashion for everyone. Good morning, Sandy.
Hey, good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing?
We are good. What do you got?
Everybody had a good weekend?
Yeah, really good.
So, news headlines this morning. It looks like it was a little bit of a slow weekend, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys are just talking about the concert. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
We're kind of losing you there. You on mic?
yeah. Oh, I think
There you are.
we have this new link into the studio. I think Chuck forgot to tell me if I click in early, I'm going to hear other people. So,
Okay.
all right, I just disconnected.
Interesting.
All right, yeah. I mean, you learn as you go.
Love
So I was saying that it was a little bit of a slow weekend. We have some, I guess, there was a robbery. I think we didn't, hold on a second. Friday. Yeah, we might have missed this one. It happened after. It was announced afterwards. So police are investigating an armed robbery at a restaurant on Lawrence Boulevard. Didn't specify which one, but on June the 1st, around 1:20 a.m., two men robbed one of the restaurants. There's only about three possibilities in there, to be honest. So reports from the RCIPS are that two persons armed with firearms were reported to have attended the location and demanded cash from the register. They then made off with a quantity of cash in a vehicle towards West Bay Road. So the police conducted searches, and a vehicle believed to be involved in the incident was recovered as evidence. And further checks were made. No perpetrators as yet, but I'm sure the police will now be checking CCTV footage in the area for sure. So the OFREG regulatory agency has indicated that another 6 MW of additional capacity has been extended to what they call the Distributed Renewable Energy Program. And so essentially what that is anyone who's interested in solar should definitely go and check this out. They're releasing it. I mean,
Yeah, we're going to jump off. That's just not working.
Yeah.
All right. This segment brought to you by J. Michael. Style up this summer with the latest.
I don't know what that horrible noise is. I'm all so I don't know what I don't know. Okay, I think we're gonna have to disconnect the radio. I have no clue what that is. No clue. I have no idea what that is. So there's a bit of a new situation here. All right, trying to figure this one out. So we've got a new connection into the radio station, and it looks like somebody just says it's acting the fool. And it sure is. It's just that I don't know how to fix it. I think this is beyond my capacity. Let's try it again. All right. I reconnected. I don't know if that's any better. Can anybody in Radio Land hear me? Yeah, I don't know what. All right. Right back to, I don't know what that is. Right, we're gonna see. This morning. with me, folks. Bear with me. Figure this one out. All right, disconnected from from the radio completely because that is going to drive me insane. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but what does that sound say? Insane in the membrane? Yeah, that's pretty much what that was doing. Wow, pretty crazy. Let's see if we can get a hold of anybody this morning at DMS Control Center. Mm-hmm. Well. I don't know what to tell you, honey chow. This is definitely above my pay grade. Control Center. No accessories found. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, let me see here now. There is a possibility. Let me see if we can get anybody at the station. I'll keep trying. In the meantime, we got stuff to be talking about, y'all. We got things to talk about. We got things to do. And people to see and people to talk about. Things are going on. I don't know. This one has me puzzled. All right, let me try. Let me try. All right, couldn't really do anything about that. All right, let me see here. Let's try again. I'll call him on his direct line. Honey chow, how's everybody doing out there? Everybody's good? Yeah, we have a new link in, and that's, let me grab my other social media links. That's acting the fool, as somebody just said. That's the most appropriate way to explain it. I don't know what else to say. Oh Lord, I can't get nobody. Can't get nobody this morning. Oh gosh. All right. Well, let me get my social links together. Hold on, social media people. Let me just at least do that much for you. It's too bad because we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness today. Quite an important topic for everybody, especially our radio listeners who may not have social media. So let me see. Let me see what's going on. Hold on. Let me grab Facebook. Good morning. Hey, Mike. How you doing? I'm okay. For some reason, I don't know if you know about the new link that I'm supposed to be using to log in, but it's causing some sort of chaos on the radio part of things. So I'm getting like feedback and stuff. So I'm wondering, I know Chuck isn't there, but I'm wondering who is that maybe can help me. Okay, thank you. All righty, thanks. All right, folks, he's going to try to get a hold of the other technical guy there, Dave, and then we'll see how we get on this morning. Hopefully we can get it sorted before our guests come on. Yeah, all right. Let me check the AC. It feels a little bit warm in here this morning. Sometimes I wonder if it's my imagination, but summer's coming. That much we know. So it looks like we might be in for a little bit more rain again today. Are those rain clouds I see? Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm grateful for the rain. Don't get me wrong, honey child. Don't get me wrong now. I am ever so grateful for the rain, but we've been getting a lot. And y'all knows what two things come with the rain: mosquitoes and crabs. Crabs are okay. Mosquitoes, not so much so. So, yes, honey chill. So I'm going to just send these links out to everybody so you guys can tune in. So we'll try to figure out what's, I'm sure it's probably like one button that needs to be adjusted, but I don't tend to touch anything on my end. And so I don't know what's different with this new link that maybe needs to be changed. I don't really know. It's a bit strange, to be honest. Hold on one second here. Let me get, it shouldn't, I mean, in theory, it shouldn't really change anything because a link is a link is a link, right? Shouldn't really change any of your audio settings, but I have no clue. All right, let me just double check something here in my notes. Okay, people are messaging me. No show today? Yes, ma'am. There's a show. Just getting all the social media links out to everyone. This is why it's good to have a backup option, you know. So let me just see here. We're always on social media, honey child. And even on social media, we got a backup option there as well. Let me see here now. Okay. While we're waiting and maybe some assistance, I'm going to see if I can put my two little brain cells together and work this out. Let me send this to another lady this morning who was messaging me earlier. I think she was messaging me a little bit early, honey child, because she was like, don't we get started at, where are you? And I'm like, it's like 6:30, ma'am. Not so early. Not so early. All right. So my notes say, let me just have a look at my notations. So I'm just wondering what might have changed. So we've got those settings. We've got default main, communications pro. Let me just double check something here. So this is on, main, yes. And communications pro. Yeah. Wonder if I should change it to, maybe I change it to this one, communications output. This might make a difference. All right, let me try it again. I am going to, good morning. I'm getting some sort of feedback. I'm just trying to adjust some settings. It's like looping and sounding crazy on the radio. Yeah, that's all the way down, but that's not it. It's something else that's causing it. So I've just, the headphone one, I've just changed that to my digital output communications, and I'm connected back in. I don't hear anything now. Do you hear anything? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. All right. So Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Oh, okay. Well, that's the one that I changed the output to communications. Fade it all the way down. Okay. Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. No problem. Yeah. Okay. All right. No worries. I'm good. All right. There you go. Such a little thing. Yeah. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. All right. Bye. All right, folks. Yeah. So new way of logging in and little technical thing this morning, but I think we're good now. We should be good. Got our first call of the morning. Good morning, caller.
Morning. I just wanted to let you know that the radio station is like playing two different things at one time. So like
Is
your
it
show is playing
is it
and then
still
another show
doing
is playing.
is it still doing that? He just checked it. Double
All
double
right, let
check it
me
for me.
okay, give me a second.
Okay. So we think we resolved it.
Sorry, hold on.
Okay. We appreciate the calls, of course, because I can't hear the radio, right? Well, just now I could. That was the problem.
It's still doing the same thing.
Oh, so it's playing two shows.
Yeah, they're talking about farming and
Okay.
pesticides and all right, well, I just wanted to let you
I
know.
appreciate it. Not a problem.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see now. Hold on. I'll give him a call. Let me call him back. So I think they just have to kill that auto feed that's in the background. Hey, so apparently it's playing another program at the same time. That's what's going on now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks. Bye. All right, we're gonna get it. Monday morning. Hey, good morning, y'all. What's up? What's up? Happy Monday. Yeah, we soon get it. Crosses, Vicky, crosses. We soon get it started. Good morning, Miss Vernita. Miss Lillian is here. Marshall in the house. Steven, he's like, I'm good. I'm on social media. What y'all talking about? So, oh gosh, I gotta hold on. Let me fix one of my flags in the background while I'm at it. Do I have time to go do that? You notice that one screen is kind of wonky. All right, let me play a little something, a little jingle. I know we definitely don't need the wake up song this morning because we all woke in more ways than one. Trust and believe. All right, we'll get it going here. Where is Aliano? Aliano, are you in the house this morning? Are you in class? I saw you riding your bicycle on, I think it was Saturday. I was driving in town. I saw you on a really tall, it looked like the bike seat was like super tall. I was like, where's Aliano going? All right, let me see here now. Okay, radio folks, let me know how we're sounding. I'm gonna get some other links going here in just a second. We do have guests that are joining us to talk about hurricane season just in time too, because let me tell you, can y'all see this pre-weather that we're getting? Storms already out there trying to kick up a little something. I was like, wow, it's quite something out there. All right. Looking good, looking good. All right, how's the radio? Are we back to normal? Just having a look at a few messages. Radio good now. All right. Thank you, Dave. Big shout out to the support that we have in the studio there. Fantastic team. Lots of moving parts, and they're always trying to improve things. So I think this new setup is designed to eliminate some of the other issues that we were having, where sometimes I'm like robotic or whatever. So this should create more stability on the radio side. But of course, this morning was our first time trying the new link, and yeah, Murphy's Law, right? It's going to give you a little bit of trouble, but that's okay. We're all good now. So I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I think we did pretty good around here. I must say, how was the concert? Did anybody go to the concert on Saturday? I think based on the feedback that I've received, the crowd was like lit. Like it was everybody and their grandma was there and the dog. Sounds like it was really, really fantastic. So congratulations to Renegade and his team that put this all together. Really good job. I must say that it's one of those things where literally all day Saturday, I was a little bit worried for him because it was raining in the morning and it just wasn't stopping. And I was thinking to myself, OMG, I don't know, might get rained out. And literally 2 hours before, it just stopped. And it's like God was just on Renegade's side. God was like, Renegade, I am going to give you a blessed event this weekend. The rain stopped. The sunshine came back with a vengeance. And it was really good from what I heard. Somebody said, yes, better. Show was epic, worth it, says this listener to the program. So yeah, that's good stuff. Where's Renegade this morning? Is he awake? Maybe we can call him. Let me see. Hold on. Let's check in with Renegade. Oh, he has a show. Oh, right. That's what to call. I'm like, doesn't he have wait a minute. I can't call Renegade. He has a show. Oh. So who was it again that performed? They were Sean Paul. And somebody said that it started to drizzle just at 12 o'clock after the show finished. So perfect timing. So we had who? We had Sean Paul and Busta Rhymes. So I think this was Busta Rhymes' first. Patrice Robert, somebody else said. I think this was his first time here performing for sure. And maybe in the Caribbean. So I heard that people were taking him out to local venues to get some good Caribbean food. I don't know what he ate, but I heard he went to Famous. So big shout out to, is it Miss Donna over at Famous Restaurant? She got to feed Busta Rhymes. One of my sources told me, honey, chill. He was eating good. Georgie Durante, I don't know who any of these people are, but Elephant Man was here too. I know Elephant Man. And there was a local guy. Who's the local guy? Is Georgie the local guy? So it sounds like it was a good lineup. So someone says they got VIP tickets. They have a different opinion. They said they had to pay an extra $200 with drinks to get into tent. Sean Paul performed the best. Well, I find with these events, you can't make everybody happy, honey child. It's just a situation. You do your best, I guess. I could never be a promoter. Oh my gosh. I am just not. I would be like, listen, have a drink and just enjoy the darn show already. Ay. What a hot mess. All right. So seems like a lot of people enjoyed it. We've got Miss, let's see who else is here this morning. Miss Wee Wee's in the house. Olivia's here, First Lady. Morning, everybody. Diamond Princess. Oh, I got my honey cha mug. I'm trying to get the others ready for you guys, by the way. So we got like 2 or 3 tester mugs. And so as you can see, it says honey cha. on one side, and then my initials. Because people wanted me to sign mugs. I was like, listen, I don't got enough time for that. Let's just put a little signature on there. And then we've got this one. The other side says a cold hard truth and a telephone number. So you never forget the number to call into the show now. So we did a new design. Looking good, looking good. I get some nice turmeric ginger tea this morning. Tasting nice. Okay, Diamond Princess, Miss Felicia. Jim says still the same. I think it should be good now. Jim, Everton, how are you? Oh gosh, Everton, we're good now. We're all good. We're good. Miss Alba, buenos dias. Dwayne, how are you? How were the accidents this weekend? Any bad? There wasn't anything too bad, I don't think. I didn't hear. I mean, listen, every day in Cayman we have an accident. So that's no longer newsworthy, I'm afraid to tell you. We still post them. There was one on Saturday down in Lower Valley. 2 cars, don't know how this happened, but they ran into each other. I think maybe they were going in opposite directions. Like, I don't even know how people have these accidents. They're kind of crazy. Oh, thank you, Everton. He's asking about the cows. Okay, let me say this, because this is worth mentioning, right? This time of year, yes, y'all know it's rainy season. We had, a lot of rain over the last couple of days. Everywhere is waterlogged, right? This is a perfect opportunity, folks. If you have property, maybe you bought a piece of land and one day you're going to build on it, right? This is the time to go check that land to see how much fill you're really going to need. Because the ground got drenched pretty good over the last couple of days. Now, here's the thing. The ground got drenched and y'all leaving your livestock outside in the water. I'm no cow expert. I only know that they taste good when you cook them with steak. You make a steak out of them or whatever, but please, I don't like to see them being abused in any way, shape, or form. I think that they should be happy when they're about to become my steak. So here's a picture of what we were looking at. Hear me talking about steak. I know Soka was here. Soka would be like, Sandy, what are you doing talking about eating those poor cows? All right, look at this. So this is the poor little cows, right? This water, the surrounding area, folks, completely underwater. And the poor little cows have there's like, how many of them? I see 5 at least in this photo. They have one little snippet there where they can kind of stand. And are those cows drinking that nasty water? And of course, the chicken's not business. They're over here and what probably was where the cows are supposed to be eating. Check in your cows, folks. Move them to higher pasture. Look at this. Let me grab this so you can see it up closer. This is just wrong. Y'all need to do better with your livestock. And I hope these not the same livestock you be trying to take to the agriculture show to show off to people, because you should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, this is somewhere down in West Bay in an area called Meadow Lane, I believe. And I think that, it's clear that you guys need to, oh my God, look at this one. This is so sad. This poor little black cow up to his knees in water. Now, cows don't really have knees, but y'all know what I mean. This is not good for the hoof of the cow, I don't suspect. Sometimes I watch the Animal Planet and I've seen what happens when people don't take care of their cows, their livestock, and they have to do like surgery on the hoof. It's not very nice. Like, they can get a really nasty infection. So can we just beg y'all to please do better? Let me show y'all this. Hold on now. These poor little cute little cows. All right, let's see here. So I think more rain is definitely in the forecast. Yeah, look at this. Look at that poor little thing. Standing in water like that cannot be good. And that water is not going to recede in 2 minutes. That's going to be there for a while. So please go check on your livestock. If this is an area that you often have your cows in, because I'm told that these cows are always there, and every time it's rainy season, this is a problem. And so what I would suggest is either move them to completely different location or see about having this filled in. I mean, surely it can't be that hard to fill it in for the cows, right? So thank you, Everton, for the reminder to check in your livestock during these kind of rainy season times. Just like the dogs, we don't want you tying your dogs out in the rain. And, some dogs are very, very afraid of lightning and thunder, and that makes them run off. So Everton, you know what? To be honest, he was asking if we didn't do a check before. I'll be honest with you. It was supposed to be just the link, and we were scheduled to check it on Friday, but everybody got busy. And so it didn't happen. But yes, normally we do checks, but sometimes you do a check and then one little thing changes. Computers restart and do funny stuff. So that's life, Everton, when you're dealing with technology. Nothing's perfect. The people who made it weren't perfect, and sometimes the technology is not perfect either. But this was an easy one to resolve once we knew what to do. Buenos dias to Miss Elizabeth. Miss Barbara's wishing everyone a happy Monday. Miss Bonnie's here joining us from East End. Hello, Robert. Miss Dean, how are you? Anybody else? Couldn't hear the phone call. That's my little reminder about our guests, and I do see some of them in the studio, so we're almost ready. So Miss Dean, Vicky, thank you, Miss Vicky. Michael Ventura's in the house. Bonnie's here. Miss Beulah. Malita, good morning. Charlene, how you doing, honey chow? Yes, Aliano, I think I saw you on Sunday cycling in town by the little mini roundabout by RBC. I tried not to hit you. It looks like I succeeded. Miss Olive, good morning to you, darling. Jan is here. How are you? So I got a letter on, I think it was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. From a new fan to the show. So let's check out this letter. This came in by email. So this person says, thank you, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. I just returned home from a week scuba diving trip in Cayman Brac last night and wanted to thank you for your kind and humane stance on the LGBTQ plus community. It was my second time traveling to the Caymans. Well, we're gonna correct you, honey chow, and just let you know it's the Cayman Islands, but that's okay. It's only your second time. And guess what? There are people who live here who be calling it the Caymans, so we're gonna forgive you. But we'll still let you know. It's a bit of a pet peeve. It was my second time traveling to the Caymans with a group of gay men, and I have to say, another great experience where people could not have been kinder or hospitable. Some friends of mine who have a condo in Grand Cayman, GC, got me listening to you last week, and now I'm addicted. Ooh, honey child. We need somebody like you keeping it real in NYC. What? Sandy goes to the big city. Oh my gosh. Imagine that. Okay, something else on the computer's frozen. So he says, I really appreciate you and your influence in promoting tolerance and affecting change. All the best. And his name just happened to have been John. So thank you, John. And then he did add a note at the bottom. You can't really see it. But he was like, and next time I'm there, can I get a mug? And I said, you know what, John, I will do you one better than that. He says, P.S., if those honey child mugs go for sale to the public, I will definitely be buying one. Well, we haven't started selling anything around here. We just give it away. So I will definitely get you a honey child mug. And in fact, I'm going to be in Miami soon. So I say, while I'm in Miami, I will just send you a mug. So I've said to him, send me your Addy in New York City and I'll get you a mug. And I'm supposed to be in New York, I think, coming up in October. I'll be there again. So I can either do it now from Miami, which is, it doesn't matter. And I'll get you a nice honey child mug. So thank you, John. Really appreciate that. You guys know where I stand on this, and I make zero apologies for my position, and I hope you guys understand. It's just one of those things. I've even had people, we've got our guests. I think we're waiting one more, so we'll pull them in here shortly. But I've even had people say to me, oh, they go talking to my friends, is Sandy like bisexual? Is she a lesbian? Like they're curious as to why I'm so supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm thinking, are y'all a little bit crazy? Because just because you support a community doesn't mean that you have to be part of the community like that, right? I would feel the same way if this issue was about discriminating against people of color. Like, to me, discrimination is discrimination. So you discriminate against someone based on their sex. I was reading something this morning about women physicians, what a hard time they have still with people, degrading them just because they're women. Oh, you're wearing, I can't take you seriously as a doctor because you've got makeup on. I mean, it's just ridiculous, some of the prejudices that still exist in this world. And so we have to stamp all of that hatred out. So it really does not matter. Alejandra says, are you Sandy? No, I'm not. And but if I were, I would proudly say that I was a member of the community. I'm not. I have tons of friends that are. And so, I think y'all just need to get over it and leave people alone, quite frankly. Members of the LGBTQ plus community are just like everybody else. Amazing people, nice people, some not so nice, some not so amazing. It just runs the gamut just like everybody else. It doesn't dictate every aspect of their lives. I think that they just don't want to be discriminated against, and they want to have a right to live, just like everybody else. So that's my thing. I'm like, just leave them alone. And so if I have to be a public voice for that, then it is what it is. I remember after we did, when the whole protesting was going on, right? About the same-sex unions, and y'all up in arms about that. I was like, really? That's what y'all want to go and protest in the streets about? Like, I'm so disappointed in Cayman, because some of the issues that we should be protesting about, honestly, you don't. Good morning, Not So Hot says there's plenty of smoke in the air and no problems. Great show. What kind of, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Ramelia, good morning to you. Wishing you a blessed day as well. Miss Corrine is here joining us from West Bay. Charlotte from Scotland. Hello, Charlotte. Darko says Mario wasn't on the road this weekend. Touche. That's funny. Well, now he can't drive. So if y'all see Mario driving, Mario Rankin, that is, call 911 forthwith, because he should not legally be driving. Not because his court matter has been dealt with yet, but because he no longer has an insurance coverage. So don't take this lightly, because if he runs into you, no coverage means you won't be covered. You won't be able to call recover and get yourself sorted out. So Heath seems to think that drinking and driving is not a big deal, but we could not disagree more. Thank you as well to, there's a lady over the weekend who ran into a Jaguar at one of the local grocery stores, put a little dent in it. Yikes. But she messaged us in an attempt to locate the owner of said vehicle. So this was fantastic. Really, really appreciate her doing that. And I find that more and more, somebody said to me, oh, they're doing it because they don't know somebody accidentally, or not accidentally, purposely recorded them. And then they're going to show up and see a marvel. I don't know. But, honesty is honesty. So I certainly appreciated her reaching out. These things happen. No one is a perfect driver. Sometimes you kind of overestimate. I mean, I'm so thankful for backup cameras in this day and age. Can I just tell you? I don't know how I can do now without a backup camera. And whenever I get in somebody's car that doesn't have one, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm like double checking every side, because the backup cameras make parking and reversing in a spot and backing up so easy to be able to see exactly where you're going from different angles. But yeah, sometimes you kind of have a little accident and you fender bender, you hit somebody in the parking lot or whatever, somebody's car. Just listen, leave your number on the windshield, go inside the business, say, hey, this is what happened. Here's my information. If somebody comes in and asks. And so she did the right thing. So thank you, young lady, for doing so. Oh, Simon is in with Mark. Oh, I'm sorry. Simon, I was waiting for you to show up separately. And now I see you there with Mark. So let's go ahead and get our guest in the studio. We'll take a quick commercial break and then we'll bring them in right after this message.
Have you completed and returned your business survey forms? The deadline for the annual business surveys is June 16th, 2023. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your forms to the Economics and Statistics Office. For assistance in completing the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
All right. So thank you so much. Gigi says we're all one family and we need to love each other. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you guys what I was doing this week. And I actually had an opportunity to go and visit the Old Timers Cayman group. Listen, I spent my Saturday with 80-year-olds and 86, 87-year-olds. I mean, I felt so privileged to be able to do that. And so we'll bring you some of that footage as part of our ongoing series on Cayman Voices. So make sure that you guys definitely stay tuned for that. It was fantastic to hear these people talk about stuff that, of course, I have no recollection of, no knowledge of, because that's way before my time. It's just really a history lesson every single time I go to their event. And if you have an elderly member of your community, please know that they are free to come out. I'll give you guys some details about it a little bit later on. But yeah, they're free to go out and join. So we have in the studio this morning some guests. You know, we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness. This is really an important topic, of course, because this is hurricane season. It started June the 1st, which was last week, Thursday, I believe. And, you know, already we can see some systems developing, nothing really directly impacting us, but we've had a bit of rain in the area. And so we know, I think in our hearts that you cannot, I don't know if there's such a thing as over preparing, because you just don't know what's coming. So let's go ahead and invite some of our guests in. First, we've got Madam Jennifer Ahern. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us on this morning. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday. So Jennifer's Chief Officer from the Ministry of,
Sustainability and Climate Resiliency.
Yes, and climate resilience. Thank you so much. So we're going to be speaking to her on a number of topics this morning as well. We also have Mark, and I believe, Jennifer, this is actually your first time on the program. So a special warm welcome to you, and all of our CMR listeners are happy to have you here, of course. We've got Mark Cudling, I believe is the correct name, and he's the Flood Centers Project Sheltering and Emergencies Notification Manager. That's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. It's really hazard mitigation specialist, to keep it simple.
We'll say that once more for me.
Hazard mitigation specialist.
Hazard mitigation specialist. There we go. All right. And he is being joined by Simon in the background there. And we've had both of them. I think, Simon, you've been on the program before, have you?
Yes, I've been on before. And I'm glad to be here again. Thank you.
Yes, perfect. And of course, everybody knows that hurricane season is here. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on doing at Cayman Mall Road and on this program is anytime there is a hurricane watch, warning, storm, we're going to be here with you and we're going to ride out the entire storm online with you as much as possible, bringing you updates and making sure you're aware of all the different notifications that are taking place across the island. So we've done a couple, you know, normally Kevin Watler, in a previous life, he was a weatherman over at Cayman 27, and he always jumps in on the program, and we just try to keep it going because we know during a storm, y'all like a little bit of company, and why not? And so we bring that special for you every single year. So we do have Shamal Clark, who is also joining us this morning. So good morning to you, Shamal. And Shamal is the NOAA Storm Surge Model. Well, that's what he's going to be talking about. Give us your title, Shamal.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm a forecaster with the National Weather Service.
Got it. Forecaster. Ooh, we definitely want to hear what you
Not as complicated as Mark, no.
Okay. All right. Sounds fantastic. So let's begin, Jennifer, with you first this morning. So, you know, you're here representing the ministry. Of course, when we think of things like, you know, hurricanes, and we see every single year, I swear they come up with a list of, okay, this hurricane season is predicted to be, you know, the worst we've had in X number of years, more storms than usual. And so they always do these projections. We're always thankful and we say a little prayer when the projections are a little bit off. So we might not have as many storms as they predicted. I think last year was a little bit of a slower season. We'll get into some of the weather details here in a second. But a lot of us are not thinking, and we should be, climate change, climate resilience. All of these are kind of like new terms to some of us, but it's really, really important that we understand there's a much bigger and broader discussion here that has taken place around storms and weather systems. So from the ministry's perspective, what is the ministry most concerned about during hurricane season? What areas are you focusing on?
Well, like every season, I think the key message to everyone is to just be prepared. Listen to the experts that we have online today. In particular, we've got the Weather Services and Hazard Management. Both of those agencies have some great information available to the public, particularly Hazard Management. Preparedness is really, really key. One of the things that they're projecting to experience with climate change is rapid intensification of storms happening more frequently, which means that we'll have less time to respond when these things happen. So it's really, really important that everyone takes the time to familiarize themselves with the steps they can take for preparedness and actually takes those steps to become more prepared. And of course, just monitor all of the official channels, stay tuned to the weather services if an event is coming. Hazard Management also pushes out some great information, and just have a plan. Know as a family what your plan is going to be if the weather is coming, if things are going to impact us, and be ready to execute that plan.
Right. Now, there are some specific areas of concern, and we do have some video clips that we're going to play this morning from both the Premier and the Governor, who issued on last week their sort of hurricane preparedness message. There are some specific areas, though, that we know are problem areas. So, for example, the North Sound Estates area, there's the Savannah Gully. Is there anything that you're aware of that is being taken in terms of mitigation for this upcoming hurricane season specific to those?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Awesome question there. Actually, we are engaging in an initiative. We started the groundwork, essentially, just to break it down for the audience.
Yes.
We're implementing what we call flood sensors. So we have Savannah Gully as one of the areas earmarked, as well as looking at Randike as well. The key thing is early warning is one of the objectives we're trying to achieve. So if we can inform the public ahead of time, in particular if there's rising water. So with this system we are putting in place, we're actually at the stage we're doing the design. So I want to take in a series of engineering drawings. We work closely with a series of stakeholders, and that's very important. We're not working in silos, so we work cross ministry. So we're working as closely with the Ministry of PI, in particular NRA, Department of Environment, of course, our colleagues from Weather, our key stakeholders, and the Water Authority. So what we're trying to do is really put in the stakeholders who understand. And of course, one of the engagement we have started so far, especially in Randike Garden, is talking with the community and engaging them, because the community plays a critical role. They understand the risk, they experience it, and with their shared experiences, we're trying to design properly and implement these systems, whereby in real time, we are able to see the rising water, but in particular, we are able to inform the public ahead of time.
Wow. So this sounds interesting. Is this new technology? Can you tell us a little bit about what these flood sensors are?
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, if the term itself, IoT, Internet of Things, our phones, all of these devices are able to transmit information, right?
Yeah.
And what we are trying to do is essentially, the system itself has a what we call a cell modem. So we are able to basically transmit information. So it measures the water level. There are several ways of doing it, but in simple terms, we use a pressure sensor. So it measures the change in temperature and then pressure, and from that is able to ascertain the height of the water. So these devices will be placed pretty much in the ground, several feet in the ground, and actually we'll have these mounted on very robust infrastructure. And the good thing about it with our ministry, we are pushing towards green initiative. So a big part of this will be solar powered. So there, in terms of the community concern of ensuring that there's no usage of actual on the grid itself, it actually gives a long battery power. So even in the times when we are out of power, this device is able to collect information. Use a small amount of power itself, and the information transmitted is in kilobytes. So it's pretty smart. And that information, we're able to share it with our first responders as well as weather service. And we're looking more in terms of long-term planning. What is the impact? So if we're to give a scenario, if there's a particular rainfall event, we could say rainfall X contributes to this amount of water or flood depth, that type of scenario. So it gives us the ability to really collect data. As you know, with the advent of AI, if you collect a lot more information, we're able to undertake modeling and have also incorporated our forecasting. So it's really looking at the future of where we want to go in terms of entities and the ministry and as Cayman Islands. And I think on the cutting edge, I think there are a few countries who are implementing this. We see a few solutions like in Belize, but in terms of what we're doing in Cayman, it's pretty much groundbreaking work. And I think this initiative can really become what we call like a prototype or our best practices we could spread to our other overseas territories.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations on that. So that sounds wonderful. Simon, you're organizing obviously a lot of educational components. So I know last year you do the annual preparedness booklet. Will that be available again for people to pick up at various locations throughout the island?
Yes, thank you, Sandra, for that. Yes, we're going to be still using our existing. We've got a few boxes left of the last booklet, so we will be updating it. But we've got quite a few left, and we will have them in the lobby. And whenever we go to events, we bring them along. And we have a children's booklet as well. But earlier you were speaking, Sandra, about your involvement with our seniors over the weekend. And in fact, we're embarking on a series of presentations for caregivers, starting actually on June 8th in a few days at Jasmine. And it's for sort of people in West Bay and Georgetown. We're going to be going district to district. But we recognize as we age, our ability to smell and hear and see and even touch and feel, we get less steady on our feet. And when we have hurricanes, we may lose power. So, there's a possibility people could be eating food that isn't still fresh. They can't smell that it's not good anymore. And we really want to make sure that the continuity of care for our seniors, our elderly, continues through a hurricane impact phase, that they don't sit there in their own homes or whatever on their own for days without any sort of support. So every district we're going to be having some refreshments. We're going to be giving certificates to all the caregivers to come out. And the next one is actually, 6:30 on June 8th at Jasmine, and it's free. And but getting the word out is critical, not just for our seniors, but the people that don't speak English as their first language. We know we have people from all over the world working in Cayman, and tourists and visitors. And so, there's a lot of challenges to it, but we come out and give presentations really to anybody, at day, at night, even if they want us to come in the evenings or weekends. Anyone, churches, businesses, government agencies, NGOs, and obviously our website, things like Cayman Prepared, our Facebook, and opportunities like being on your radio show with your thousands of listeners. So we appreciate that, Sandra.
Yeah, absolutely. So the program that you're talking about in relation to the seniors, it's actually like a training program for the caregivers? Yes.
Quite often they are, they're completely really on the front line with the elderly person. So, we recognize that, people need at least 3-4 days of food to get through a hurricane. We also want to make sure that the caregivers themselves are riding out hurricanes in safe locations. We recognize that some seniors are, somewhat maybe feel a little bit of shame going to a shelter, say if they're wearing adult diapers or something like that. So we're trying to work on improving the areas of privacy. Obviously, we have to maximize the amount of space to get as many people in as possible. But we're also looking at, providing transportation through the NEOC. Once the NEOC is activated, again, with our stakeholders, recognizing some seniors may not want to go to a shelter, but could go to a family member or a friend's house that is strong and robust and up high enough to be safe from the waves and, of course, storm surge. So we're going to be looking at working with the emergency medical services and HSA to try to get people to other locations, not to just to shelters. So that's going to be something you'll probably hear more about when we're in the activation phase, when a storm or hurricane is threatening. But there's some evidence to show that elderly people don't do as well in disasters. Obviously, they don't have incomes, and they don't want to add to the burden of their family members often. So if their homes are damaged, often they're just sort of struggling along in the without electricity. Even a bag of ice for an elderly person is a heavy thing to get back to their home to keep their supplies cool. Putting up shutters, all these things are much more challenging as we age. So we recognize we need to try to do as much as we can. So the caregivers, we recognize, are very critical to that because they can really make a difference to make sure that the elderly people, our seniors in Cayman, get through.
Very good. And what other vulnerable groups other than our seniors? We were talking about earlier, animals, for example, livestock. I'm sure children probably fall into a vulnerable group. Anybody with special needs. So people need to start thinking ahead of how to deal with, like, what's the contingency plan if you do have pets? Do you know where the shelters are that actually accept pets and so on? So let's talk about some of those other sort of vulnerable groups as well.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. So, yes, government does provide the shelters, but what we saw in past events too is, some of the shelters are actually serve as schools as well. So when we have really big impacts, children are going, sometimes their schooling is interrupted. I think on average it was 40 days, obviously in Hurricane Ivan.
Yeah.
So we are a bit more robust, but we recognize the burden falls very much on single parents. Often they're struggling to put the home back together if it's damaged, as well as trying to stay employed, bringing in their income, and then trying to look after the children as well. It's a very stressful environment. And I think, our director, Danny Coleman, has recognized too that there's mental health components associated with disasters, and has tried to step up there. I think all of us were a little bit sort of that post-traumatic stress or whatever after a major impact. So, but I think, obviously tourists, we saw even after Grace, a number of tourists wanted to get off the island, but I think we had a couple of thousand who didn't get off. And, it's difficult sometimes getting the message to them, but we have a very effective group called the Joint Communications Service, and it worked very well in the pandemic. And it's a number of government communicators come together, speak with one voice. Tourism is obviously represented on that too. And, they have mechanisms in place to get to all the hotels, the Airbnb owners and things before a hurricane. But yeah, there's many groups of the foreign nationals. Obviously, some people consume information differently, so we use the consular agencies sometimes to get through to, some people, maybe the Filipinos aren't reading Compass or going on Cold Hard Truth. I'm sure they are, but, just to be on the safe side, we go through, the consular representative, because sometimes they have mail groups and so on, but we try to get to everybody, and to the point where we actually had a vehicle in the pandemic with a bullhorn on the back of it, going through the communities. But it's not always easy. But we always talk about the mile road, and word does get around one way or another.
Mm-hmm. All right, 936-2626. If anyone has a question for a guest this morning, of course, the phone lines are open. We do have a question that has come in via WhatsApp. This person says, good morning, Sandy. Can you ask your guests what are the plans for updating the emergency notifications app to make it more user-friendly? Okay. Have you had any complaints about the app not being user friendly?
Yeah. So one of the things, and let me just kind of break it down a bit. So with the app itself, unlike the typical.
And before let's assume that maybe some listeners don't know what the app is. So
Okay, sure, no problem. So the notification app, or what we call the NEMS, National Emergency Notification System, the app itself allows you to receive a series of information, but in particular, we focus on the app. Also, we have the SMS, email as well. But the big push is really the app. So with the app itself, there are 4 key steps, and I think what we're trying to emphasize to users is that unlike a typical app in which you download and you receive, okay, I download this app and it's working. This app has what we call a push notification. So there has to be a back end where the email or some registration is linked to the particular app or user. So in that case, it has to be a verification process, because what we are trying to do is not allow what we call dummy users on the system, right? So in persons who are trying to push, for example, fake telephone numbers and so forth, we're able to have that system in place. So the email is really used as a verification. So one of the key steps is really ensuring that you register via the website, and there's a section that speaks to the whole data privacy. It's very important, which persons need to ensure that they tick and submit. Once you're registered to the system, it asks you to verify your email address, and once you do that, it will therefore ask you to input the HMCI code, which is HMCI, which is what they call the organization code. And then from there, you'll be connected. As I said, it's a particular app really used for several different entities across the world, in particular in the US. But the whole idea, basically, we're working with the vendors as well to make the steps much easier. Instead of having 4 steps, we could have 2 or 3. But the idea is the whole aspect of security and ensuring that there's authentication of users to the system. So that one's the basis why persons may find it challenging at time. But if you have any concerns, we always have our lines open, and our email address is NENS, that's NENS @gov.ky. We have a support line to help persons walk through. And I'm very happy you gave to this audience as well. We're going to do another marketing campaign about the app as well. We're pushing to persons and really engaging in sessions like these in terms of one-on-one sessions, different community groups we work with our, for example, our community emergency response teams, and that's very critical as well, reach to the communities. And if you have any questions, we're always open to serve the needs of the community.
All right, very good. So hopefully that answers that question. Everybody's saying good morning. Damaris joining us from New York. Miss Charlene saying good morning to Simon and everybody else. So let's talk about what the projections are for this year. I think, Shamal, you can probably help us with this one. What are we looking at? Is this going to be a more active hurricane season? How many named storms are they predicting for 2023?
All right. Good morning again, everyone. So right now, the conversation is that it's supposed to be an average or just below average season. And it's just banking on the fact that they're anticipating a transition to an El Nino year. Now, the interesting thing about that is, and I caution persons with taking that information to say, there's also the fact of warm sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic, and it's fairly warm. So even if we have an El Nino year, the chances are, if it's not strong enough, then the warm sea surface temperatures will win. So I know NOAA went on a little bit of a caution side in saying 12 to 17 named storm possible, and they had a 40% chance of average and 30% above or below average. And I think the reason for the caution has to do a lot with the warm sea surface temperature as well as the strength of the El Nino. So while that is the conversation, I will just tell persons, treat it as any other season, whether or not it's an active season or not, because at the end of the day, regardless of the activity, it could only be one. And even if we have one, if we're unfortunate to be in the path of that one, then, things could go 0 to 100 real fast. And then, it's all downhill, and we're probably having another Ivan event, which I'm sure most persons would not want. So at the end of the day, it's just to be up to date with the information, have your preparedness plan in place. I know HMCI has some nice tips on Cayman Prepared. If not, I'm sure you could reach out to them directly to have that information provided to you In the interim, I do stress persons to rely on our information versus alternative source of information. And I know you do share information as well, so thank you for that. One of the things that we find is that when persons share alternative sources of information, it's not always accurate, and the persons who are, putting out the information aren't necessarily looking at the local effects. And again, there's no responsibility if they're incorrect. They don't take necessarily a big blame if they're incorrect, so they don't really necessarily focus on that nitty-gritty in terms of being completely accurate. For us, when they look at it from a global or a large scale point of view.
Right.
We at the National Weather Service, we try to transfer that, or at least translate that to a localized scenario. So you get your effects versus the North Coast, South Coast, East Coast, West Coast. You'll get that kind of dynamic in terms of storm surge. I know Simon is excited for storm surge, and it's the data that we'll get in probably a couple of years. It will definitely be a game changer in terms of the effects that storm surge has during the Atlantic hurricane season. But we try to estimate based on local knowledge and the information that we have on hand. Again, not every organization will do that, but we'll definitely cater our information for our customers, our users at the end of the day, and the persons in the Cayman Islands. So we do ask that if you're tuning into alternative sources of information, please do refer back to the National Weather Service. And again, we might not rush to get our information out as fast as the others, but it's not about the first to get it out, but it's the closest to accurate. We are more concerned about accuracy in terms of providing you with quality information so that you can prepare, you can respond in the event of a tropical storm event or a hurricane scenario. So again, we're not rushing to beat the other person or the competitor or the other persons out there. Again, everybody with internet and a smartphone and a camera knows an expert these days. So that's our battle, but at the same time, we want to stress the importance of relying on our source of information.
Okay, very good. And of course, we already have a first name storm for the season, Arlene. Came about last week. Is that what was dumping some of the rain on us as well?
No,
she was a bit.
Not Arlene. Arlene was quite timid, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the fence in terms of naming Arlene, and I see they have another area way out in the northern Atlantic that they're watching as well as of this morning. But we just had a trough signature that moved across the Caribbean. So that's another point that I probably should mention to persons. So with the past few years, what we've realized is that persons don't necessarily take heed to just normal weather conditions. They'll be excited if it's a tropical storm, even everybody is on it. However, there are several weather phenomena that could happen between now and let's say the end of November during the hurricane as a result of tropical disturbance or tropical wave, and just not a normal depression that could simulate somewhat of a similar effect as a named storm. So the idea for us is that we're going to be putting out severe weather bulletin that does not necessarily quantify as a tropical storm watch or a warning. However, it can give you the same results. And to put it into perspective, and Mark is here working on the IoT project, which is awesome. So let's say, for instance, Mark and his team recorded an inch of rainfall a couple of days before a tropical wave. And let's say the tropical wave did start to become a little bit organized into a disturbance. And you have gusty conditions of over 35 knots and so, which is essentially right in the tropical storm region, but it's a gust. And then you have rainfall total of probably another 2 inches. Then you have significant flooding. You could have damages due to wind. All that could happen in a case that is not necessarily a tropical storm. So the season is not just about tropical storms. So guys, don't just focus on the word tropical storm or hurricane. Please look out for severe weather bulletins as well this season.
Right. Yeah. Because honestly, we've seen things like even, I don't know if technically they were tornadoes, but where they do touch down, they're out to sea, and sometimes they might come inland for a little bit and touch down. And of course, that can cause some damage to trees and other structures and stuff as well. So it's important to pay attention to these things. Chief Officer Jennifer Ahern, of course, we know that you guys have some climate change policy meetings that are coming up. So can you give us a little bit more information on what those meetings are all about and how people can get a schedule so that they can make sure they attend and participate?
Yeah, thanks. We're really excited to be out with a draft climate change policy, and we are looking to get feedback from the public on that. We started our public meeting last weekend, or the weekend before, not this past weekend, but the one before, in the Sister Islands. And this week we start our meetings here in Grand Cayman. The first one is tomorrow night in West Bay, starting at 6 p.m. at Sir John A. Cumber Primary School. Wednesday afternoon between 3 and 5 p.m. we're having a session that's open to students, which will be at the UCCI Multipurpose Hall, the Sir Vassal Johnson Hall. And then following that in the evening, same location at UCCI from 6 to 8 p.m. we'll be having a meeting for the public. On Thursday, we'll be in Boddentown at the Theoline McCoy Primary School. And then next week, Tuesday, we're in East End, and Thursday, we're in Northside. So you can find out all about the policy and download it at www.gov.ky/climate change policy. So you'll find the document there. You'll find the public meeting schedule. You can also follow our ministry on social media. We recently launched an Instagram page. We're on LinkedIn, and we're also on Facebook. So please follow us there to get more updates. And if you have any other questions, you can email us at climate@gov.ky.
All right, wonderful. So tell us the importance really of the climate change policy. What's in it? What are we looking at potentially undertaken in this country?
So the policy is going to provide a framework for us to move forward as a country to look at how we're going to respond to climate change and how we're going to adapt and prepare. And the vision that we have, the draft vision in the policy, is a climate resilient Cayman Islands that promotes and sustains vibrant communities, a thriving natural environment, and a robust economy where people can live their best lives now and for future generations. And we've got three main goals that are proposed. One is to reduce Cayman's vulnerability and enhance our resiliency to climate changes. Two is to promote sustainable and low carbon economic activity. And three is to establish a governance framework for climate action, which is future focused, fair to all, accountable, and transparent. And then we have a number of objectives under each of those goals. So it's really to help provide a framework for government going forward across government to make sure that we're having that future focus, we're taking some of these concerns into account. We're already seeing some of the effects of climate change. We have evidence that shows that we have got increasing temperature. We've got sea level rise that's been recorded as well, and also the changes that we're seeing in the weather patterns. So it's not something that's, far, far off in the future. It's here and it's starting to happen. And we really need to make sure that we're taking the steps that we can to prepare.
Now, here's something that's really interesting. Just sort of a little, weather fact for you. We actually had a subtropical storm that occurred in January. And so there's some forecasters who are considering that to be the first cyclone of 2023 in the Atlantic Basin. So it didn't quite have a full name, but it was designated as, I think it's ALO 12023. So it didn't quite receive the name Arlene, as we saw that one was named over the weekend. But they say that, these subtropical activities are not unprecedented. They do happen. So this is where you have a storm outside of what is typically the hurricane period. But having a storm in January is quite unusual and quite rare. So something to always be mindful of is, although we have a quote unquote, fixed hurricane season, you can have subtropical storms that start before that period or even after the end of the hurricane season as well. So it's important to remain vigilant at all times. And the more that we understand climate change and how it's impacting weather systems, I think these subtropical storms may become more frequent as well. So the prediction this year is to have a normal hurricane season. So we'll see how that works out for us. I mean, we're hoping that it won't be anything severe. Now, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Ivan this year, I believe. Is that right?
2004. So is it 19 years or 20? I have this.
2024 is next year, so
next year. So it'll be
Yes, next year will be 20.
No. But that's a great point you raised, because I think a lot of people are either too young to already remember what it's like, or we have lots of new people on the island. So,
so one of the things. Yeah, sorry, I just want to get that point as you said it. So one of the things with the return period for major hurricanes, I believe it's somewhere in the order 20-25 years. So if persons look at that, then you'll say, well, Cayman is overdue for one, technically based on a return period potentially. But what I would like, and persons that are out there, media persons, the various media houses, definitely Sandra would ask this of you as well. There are persons on island, like Simon said, who've never experienced a tropical storm event before, and a lot of persons who have forgotten what they can do. So earlier this year, I attended the National Hurricane Conference, and they were talking about social sciences in meteorology. And one of the points they mentioned was that you probably can try to remind people when you're putting out messages, remind persons with probably a video or a picture of what happened. So in the event we're talking about a storm, a tropical storm, we could use a video from another place or another scenario in the Cayman Islands. A lot of times we try to bring it back home, or use a scenario when we're talking to better give persons a visual indication of what to expect, and not just say, okay, we're going to have these conditions. And then the other thing about the conditions that we start talking about the impacts, not just the weather elements, rainfall and wind, but what are the impacts that these systems will have, and get more specific. The guys from HMCI would talk about exposure and vulnerability and so forth, and then we'll talk about hazard mitigation to reduce the risk associated with the hazard. So all of those kind of conversations we need to have once, or probably before, to be honest with you, before an event. We don't wait until the event is upon us, but we just, we have those conversations ahead of time, so that persons can actually reduce the risk associated with these tropical storm events.
Yeah. Okay, very, very good. Yes.
Sandra, thank you so much for having us on. And yeah, I mean, just looking back at it, I think, we obviously are more resilient now, but, we have to remember that because of our low-lying nature, on average, it's 7 feet above sea level, and that's, again, why climate change with the rising sea is kind of such a threat. But, 19 years ago, when that happened, 2 people died, 400 people were injured. The equivalent of 100 million vehicles, if it was in the US, were destroyed. About a third of all our vehicles were covered up by the sea. 80% of the homes were damaged, and had the sea water come into them. And it was startling for people. In many cases, obviously the waves were impacting the homes along the shore, but people quite far inland, like a couple of miles inland, were experiencing, 8 or 10 foot of water in some cases in their homes. And that's a threat for single-story dwellings, not just along the shore, but in these inland areas. So we constantly emphasize, the importance of getting to somewhere safe before the impact from one of these events, but particularly if you're not sure that your home is strong enough. And it doesn't tend to just come in like a trickle when the wind blows the water ashore in your direction. The water level can come up very quickly and very fast. Within a matter of minutes, it can go from, a garden with your grass in your car to several feet of water kind of coming up past your window. So particularly, if you've got children, elderly persons, these kinds of things, try to plan for this. The water may not be coming out of the tap. You may not have an electricity. The supermarkets may not be open. The gas stations may not be open. So if you can be ready in advance, do a little planning and preparedness.
Right.
Make sure you put shutters, water, non-perishable food, gas in your car, and so on. It can make a huge difference. A bit of planning.
And I mean, have your checklist. It's helpful to have that checklist and to go through it early and double check, because I find even with the non-perishable foods, sometimes during the year somebody ate the can of whatever,
Yeah.
and it's no longer there, and you didn't realize that somebody in the household ate it or whatever. So go through and make sure that you check through and you see what you still have. If things like batteries, hopefully you haven't left them in the what do we call them, flashlights entire time, because then they get corroded. Maybe they're not working. You need to top up those things. So I think it's worth going through your list, doing infrastructure checks around your home, because things happen, buildings get older, and sometimes windows, for example, need to be sealed or resealed. I mean, we noticed during, I think it was one of the storms that we had last year, that we had some of our windows, and this is a fairly new build, but some of the windows just were not sealed properly. So we need to do some reinforcement there, because there's water actually coming through those. Looking at the foliage around your house. If you've got coconut trees, those coconuts become flying projectiles during a storm. So you want to be in a position to shake them down and make sure that, especially during hurricane season, that, you don't have those coconuts on the trees as much as you possibly can. There's just so much to be done. But if you start early enough, every week, every other week, you can kind of dedicate to looking at different aspects of your preparedness plan. You've got dogs and children's, and you've got to make sure you've got enough medication on hand. Always keep the gas tank as close to full as possible during hurricane season. I know some of us like to drive on and empty during hurricane season. That's really not a good idea, but because normally by the time that you recognize that, oh yeah, I've got to get to the gas station, there's like a 2-mile long, line at the gas station. So water bottles, make sure you have enough water. There's just so much to think about, but I think that with adequate preparation, we can all be sufficiently prepared, right? And making sure you've got rechargeable devices that are charged up and ready to go, so that you can have a little bit extra life on phones and those types of things. We've supplied a lot of our listeners to the program with little portable radios now. Those are all rechargeable. Make sure that they're fully charged up going into any sort of a storm situation. So a few people in the comment section saying that they remember Hurricane Ivan, of course. Siobhan says that she does remember it. And she says it wasn't anything fun. Well, that's for sure. So, a lot of us, but it's like any other traumatic event, because I think Ivan was a traumatic event. Over time, our memories fade. And although we know it wasn't a good event, a lot of us don't quite remember all the details of how bad it was, and I think that's just the mind's way of sort of protecting us from trauma. But that realization that another Ivan could happen again, or it doesn't even have to be an Ivan, because we saw last year and the year before, we had storms that were like not even a hurricane that were ripping up trees. And it was just like, what on earth? How did this cause that much damage, right? So don't think just because, and I used to think this way, I was like, oh, when it gets to category 3, I'll be concerned. But that's not the case anymore. Obviously, we've seen storms that were technically not hurricanes, but had sufficient gusts causing enough damage. And one good coconut tree falls on your roof and you've got a problem. So be very, very vigilant, folks, and make sure that you're on top of your hurricane preparedness.
Sandra, I've got a presentation at 9. I don't want you to rush off, because you got some amazing guests on there. But I just wanted to thank you, and I appreciate what you said about keeping Kim Ann company with your show when an actual impact's coming, because that's important.
Yes.
Too. But yeah, we do worry a bit also that people kind of anchored to their previous worst experience and can't really picture the possibility of anything else. But, getting back to Ms. Jennifer's point with climate change, we're seeing kind of a new normal. Hurricane Ian, second, I think did over $50 billion worth of damage in 2021 in Florida. Obviously, Dorian, 400 lives lost in Bahamas. And Irma and Maria and things like that. So, let's not get totally... let's not complacent, and I worry too a bit about the people in the BRAC who went through Category 4 Paloma, which was a very small wind field, a radius of only 7 miles of hurricane force winds. And as Shamal will tell you, it's when you're in the sea, if you push your hand through the water, you don't make a very big wave. But when you get your whole arm out, when you've got a big wind field, that's when you get a lot of surge. So it's these bigger systems that really, and they don't have to be Category 5 hurricanes to push water.
Mhm.
But I just want to say thank you. I'm sorry I've got to nip out. I got a 9 o'clock presentation, but I
thanks,
really
Simon.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Sandra, and thank you, Shamal and Ms. Jennifer.
All right, beautiful. Just a few more comments and then we'll start to wrap things up here at any event. So Damien says, remember now that we have close to 80,000 residents compared to 2004, where the population is 50,000. So can we talk a little bit about, that's a good consideration as the population is significantly larger. How does that change your plans in terms of what government is doing and their contingencies?
I could take from our side as a management. A big challenge there obviously would be in terms of shelter. So the capacity over the years have increased, and we're looking to increase it as well. I think that's one of the key concerns. The other aspect as relates to resources, food security. We are working closely with various stakeholders, in particular supermarkets, logistic food chain, in terms of ensuring that we have adequate supplies on island, and that's one of the key areas. Because in times of need, food, clothing, shelter is one of the key areas that we have to tap into. So in terms of the population numbers, we would have also worked with our colleagues from the Economic Statistical Office, ESO, and they provide us this number. So with these checks, obviously every 10 years we do the population census, but it gives us the ability to really do the planning, not just for HMCI from disaster preparedness, but also from the other ministries, which use this information to make their various planning and strategies going ahead.
Right. Very good. So we have another question here. Damien's asking, will there be international airlines from other countries on call ready to evacuate pre-hurricane and also after? So what are the options for people? Good thing about hurricanes, I suppose, is normally we get some sort of warning. I mean, the tone of, exactly where it hits might not always be precise until it gets closer. But are there normally any options? I know Cayman Airways will put on additional flights in advance of a storm if they can. We do have, I think, more capacity now as well. But do other airlines normally get involved in assisting with this?
So it's not my area expertise, but I'm going to give you in terms of the action plan that we have in house. So essentially within our NEOC, we have a cluster, I would call it the EST, Emergency Support Team, that focuses keenly on evacuation. So this is actually led by our colleagues out of the Airport Authority, as well as our colleagues from Cayman Airways as well. So there's an action plan in place. So as soon as we are issued a watch, that plan kicks in, and through the various media channels, obviously, including yourself, Sandra, as well, we would publish information as in the steps to take. So there is actually a team that focuses keenly on that area of ensuring that if persons wish to evacuation, whether it be a chartered flight as well, so that could be facilitated. This is the same, obviously, we'd have seen in terms of the pandemic, we'd have seen such operations being taken place. So essentially, there's a game plan that's being led by a particular team.
All right, very good. So,
and I think,
yes,
sorry, Sandra, I was just going to say, I think, that's a good reminder for everybody. If plan A is to fly off, you need to have a plan B, just in case you can't get off the island, in case things escalate too rapidly, in case, I remember in Ivan, people were talking about whether to go off or not. And then, that Saturday morning we woke up and the 11 a.m. advisory had it coming straight at us and the airport was closed. So
exactly,
it was a complete change in the path. It was supposed to be going over Cayman Brac. So I think, it's important to have that plan, to make sure that you have some contingencies built in around it, that if it is that your plan is to get on a plane and go off, that you do have something backed up behind that, just in case you're not able to get off. I mean, the team at Cayman Airways and the Airports Authority, they do an incredible job when the time comes, but there's only so much they can do, and they are constrained by if the weather conditions deteriorate. So, and especially for some people who maybe are new to the islands, haven't been through a hurricane season before, talk to friends that have been through it. Make sure that you do take advantage of the information that hazard management has in terms of preparedness, and do have a plan.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much to our guests this morning. Again, we had Ms. Jennifer Ahern from the Ministry of Climate Resiliency and you'll have to remind me.
Sustainability and climate resiliency.
Yes. Well, we'll get that name correct. Shamal Clark also joined us, the forecaster, Mark Codling. Of course, we had Simon Boxall as well. We'll be speaking to sort of the technical experts, I'm sure, as the season progresses. We've had a bit of rain. It looks like the skies have cleared up a little bit outside of my window anyway, here in Lower Valley, Savannah area. But, check the weather forecast. Stay tuned again to all the official sites. We will share as we hear of anything that's happening in terms of weather alerts. We'll obviously share it to our audience as well. And we'll play the sort of presentations from both the Premier and Her Excellency Governor Jane Owen as well, which was issued last week at the beginning of hurricane season. So folks, the key message is really just to be prepared. There's no need to panic or anything of that sort, but preparation is key, and really knowing how to go about that. And there are lots of resources that are available from government, from private sector. Just make sure that you avail yourself of all of that information. So thank you guys so much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Fantastic. Have a good one. All right, folks. So let's hear some messages now first we'll start off with the one from Premier Panton, and then after that we'll do Her Excellency Governor Jane Owen.
Business starts today.
All right, let me just back that up one second.
The 2023 Atlantic hurricane season starts today, the 1st of June, and will continue until the 30th of November. Over the next 6 months, every individual, family, business, and community in the Cayman Islands must take steps to be prepared, stay vigilant, and look out for one another in times of need. We are 1 year closer to the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Ivan, which devastated Grand Cayman in 2004. And later this year, we'll mark the 15th anniversary of Hurricane Paloma, which severely impacted our sister islands. But these so-called once-in-a-lifetime storms are becoming more frequent. Over the past 5 years, hurricanes like Harvey, Maria, Irma, Ida, and Ian have wreaked havoc across our region. Even when our islands are spared a direct hit, we feel the effects on our bank accounts as insurance premiums continue to rise. And our brush with Grace in 2021 taught us that even a tropical storm can cause significant damage. Being prepared is one of the most important things we can do to protect our families, our friends, homes, and businesses during hurricane season. As the old saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if you have not already done so, now is the time to stock up on emergency supplies and make sure you have a plan for your home or business. If you are new to our islands or need a reminder, the Hazard Management Cayman Islands website, caymanprepared.gov.ky, has all the information and resources you need to prepare yourself, your family, your home, or business for a severe weather event. I also encourage everyone to download the free National Emergency Notification System, or NENS, mobile app. The free NENS app allows Hazard Management to send emergency alerts straight to you by email, SMS text, or both. Log on to nens.gov.ky to learn more and download the app. The NENS app is a prime example of the many official sources of information you can safely rely on during an emergency situation. We know how easily misinformation can spread during times of uncertainty. During a hurricane or other emergency situation, it is vital that you monitor official sources of information, such as Radio Cayman, Cayman Islands Government TV, Hazard Management, the National Weather Service, and the main government website and social media pages. Following Hurricane Ian, we developed a new protocol for WhatsApp voice note messages so official messages can be shared via WhatsApp. We want to help you stay informed, especially when the situation is fluid and developing. But we need to make sure we are sharing verified updates. Misinformation, even if it is not shared intentionally, can waste time and resources and put lives at risk. Be vigilant, monitor official sources, and verify before you share. Although we often think of strong winds and rain as the most significant threats during a hurricane situation,
My apologies. Just 1 second. We've had to reload that video. So we're going to just re-add that back and try to
voice note messages. Misinformation can spread during times of uncertainty. During a hurricane or other emergency situation, it is vital that you monitor official sources of information, such as Radio Cayman, Cayman Islands Government TV, Hazard Management, the National Weather Service, and the main government website and social media pages. Following Hurricane Ian, we developed a new protocol for WhatsApp voice note messages, so official messages can be shared via WhatsApp. We want to help you stay informed, especially when the situation is fluid and developing. But we need to make sure we are sharing verified updates. Misinformation, even if it is not shared intentionally, can waste time and resources and put lives at risk. Be vigilant, monitor official sources, and verify before you share. Although we often think of strong winds and rain as the most significant threats during a hurricane situation, the sea can be especially treacherous. Even if your home is far away from the high crashing waves battering the coast, storm surge can cause severe, even life-threatening flooding up to hundreds of yards inland. It is important to know where the nearest hurricane shelter is to your home and have a proactive plan to evacuate your family from your home if you are at risk. As certain shelters have different guidelines for pets, for example, it is important to plan in advance. I want to thank the many shelter volunteers who go through special training to ensure these essential facilities are available to provide safe shelter during an emergency. I'm happy to announce that by the time we reach peak hurricane season in September this year, Hazard Management is planning to have thousands of additional shelter spaces available. I'm also pleased to confirm that the Kern Gomez Doppler radar has been restored to full working order ahead of hurricane season. In addition to the radar, which allows the Weather Service and the public to monitor meteorological conditions as far away as Jamaica, the Weather Service also uses the Cayman Islands GOES-R satellite system to monitor and track weather systems further afield. The government recognizes that efforts to increase short and medium-term readiness must be combined with longer-term measures to enhance national resilience. Earlier this year, the Cayman Islands government published the first Cayman Islands Climate Change Risk Assessment, the most comprehensive review of climate risks and opportunities to the Cayman Islands undertaken to date. We cannot keep ignoring the risks of climate change to our communities, our economy, or our environment. Based on local, regional, and global data, we know that there is strong evidence for an increase in the frequency and intensity of tropical cyclones since the 1970s in the North Atlantic. And projections suggest that strong hurricanes will become more common in the Caribbean. And this is just one of the climate change impacts our islands are facing. Local tide gauge data show sea level is rising. Local rainfall data suggests fewer but more severe rain events. Local temperature data shows our islands are about 2.2 degrees Celsius hotter than they were 40 years ago. The anecdotal evidence confirms these data points. Based on a survey the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency conducted last year, the majority of local residents reported noticing changes to local temperatures, rain patterns, storms, and coastal erosion. Climate change is not a distant projection. It is our reality. We are living with it now. As part of our efforts to ensure our country can continue to sustain future generations of Caymanians, the government recently launched the draft Cayman Islands Climate Change Policy for public consultation. The policy includes 3 overarching goals, 7 policy objectives, and more than 100 strategies designed to help ensure vibrant communities, a thriving natural environment, and a robust economy for current and future generations. To learn more, please visit gov.ky/climate change policy. At the beginning of this message, I urged you to be prepared, to stay vigilant, and to look out for one another. Community creates country. And in times of uncertainty, we need strong, healthy, and resilient communities more than ever. So, Cayman, let's be prepared. Let's get our emergency supplies together. And let's encourage our family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. Let's stay vigilant, monitoring official sources and verifying information before we pass it along. And let's look out for one another. Do not wait until after a disaster has struck to meet your neighbors or to find out who in the community, in terms of elderly, disabled, or vulnerable people, might need help. The only way we can get through hurricane season safely is if we work together. Thank you, and God bless these wonderful Cayman Islands.
Hello everyone. The start of the 2023 hurricane season is fast approaching, so I wanted to add my voice to the many others you'll be hearing, reminding us of the importance of preparing well for this unpredictable time of year. The long-term weather forecast suggests that this will be a near-average season, and that means that a tropical storm or hurricane could affect Cayman and disrupt our normal way of life. Reflecting on 2022 and seeing just how close devastating Hurricane Ian came to our shores, it's easy to see why this is really important. To help us prepare, we all need to understand the risks associated with hurricanes. There can be strong winds and heavy rain, but also high crashing waves and the potential for storm surge. Storm surge is a rise in the level of the sea which happens as storm winds push water forward. It can cause flooding, especially in low-lying areas. Once we understand just how much damage hurricanes can do, we can make a better plan to protect ourselves and our families. As a minimum, it's important for us all to think about which room in our house is the safest place during a storm. And if we are concerned that no place is safe, we need to know which shelter we would use. We need to stock up on non-perishable food and fresh water, enough for about a week for every family member. And I'm trying to remember Benji, my dog, so please don't forget your pets as well. Check on your torches and make sure that you have a good supply of batteries. And most importantly, we must all listen to the advice of the experts in hazard management Cayman Islands. This is my first hurricane season, so I'm doing all I can to prepare for every eventuality. For more information, please go to the excellent website Cayman Prepared, which you can see on this screen. Let's all stay safe. Thank you.
All right, folks. Again, some key messages there regarding hurricane season. So just be vigilant, folks. It's here, and we should all be taking this time now to prepare. So we had a little bit of rain, obviously, over the weekend, bringing up mosquitoes and crabs. And so those of you who are out crabbing, please be safe on the roadways as well. It's really, really important because we've known over the years that some people have gotten, hit by cars. Don't go out there wearing dark clothing. I think a couple of people have even been killed, sadly, as a result of them going out there crabbing and not being visible to cars, or even sometimes you're being visible to cars and they're speeding like maniacs on the roadway and crashing into any and everything. So we're also asking drivers to please know that this time of year that sometimes people are out. People take their kids with them. They're out there with buckets, and you just need to slow down. There's nowhere on this island that you should be getting to in such a hurry that you end up crashing. So slow down and take your time. I think I might have mentioned this on Friday's show, but we had an incident in our neighborhood in the Lower Valley area where unfortunately one of the neighborhood dogs actually got killed because somebody was speeding through the area and of course didn't stop, which is very, very sad, after they killed this poor family pet. And the kids in the house are just devastated by the loss of their little dog. So I want to encourage you guys to just slow down. I mean, there's nothing wrong with driving slower at the very minimum. Thanks for the reminder. Gabby says to please leave the small crabs alone. So yes, I mean, a lot of them are getting ran over already. I've seen a couple just this morning when I was walking Zeus. They're getting ran over. I try to avoid them. I don't purposely run them over because they can puncture your tire. So I personally try to avoid them as well. But you know what I mean? Just, yeah, scoot around them if you can. The small ones, let them live a couple more seasons until they get bigger. So land crabs are really, really big thing. Denver, good morning. Says, if this man paid as much attention to the Cayman Islands and the indigenous Caymanians as he pays to climate change and what he is not in control of, we would be much better off. You'd have to give some specific examples, but I think, and I'm going to say this, and I keep saying it, one of the ongoing issues, I think, with this government is really around their messaging. This premier is not just, it's the first time we've had a climate resiliency and climate change ministry, but that's not all that he's responsible for. In fact, he's taken over deputy premier, the former deputy premier's responsibilities, a part of his responsibilities in terms of now the Ministry of Finance and stuff as well. So there's quite a bit that he's responsible for, but I don't know why people just hyper focus. I guess because it's the first time you're hearing that message. So maybe it's sticking in your head because it's new. And there is a lot of, they're trying to get the climate change, policy in place. So there's a lot of new firsts and things that you've never heard before. But Denver, in all fairness to him, I do not believe that is the only thing that he's focused on. He's been on this show and he's been talking about they've got a task force set up for housing. They've got one for the minimum wage. And so there's lots of other things that are actually being worked on. So you've got to make sure that, you're at least aware. I think they could always improve on their messaging, but that's not my job. So we give them all an opportunity to certainly come here on the program and discuss these things. There's also the new sexual harassment policy. That's a first. I know some of you who are not impacted by sexual harassment might not care about those things, but remember, over 50% of the population are women, and men can be victims of sexual harassment as well. But this is something that we have been talking about for 20 plus years, and nothing has ever been done about it. So once again, finally something is going to happen there. So we are certainly very, very thankful for that. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Alejandro says that climate change is a scam. Oh, Alejandro, my goodness, what a hot mess. All right, so let's talk about a bit of breaking news that we're receiving this morning. I saw that we had Carmelie in the comment section giving us a bit of an update, which I am shocked to hear that one of her favorite listeners, she's a top fan for sure, always tuned in every single morning to the program. And, I haven't verified this, but Carmelie, says that her Windsor Park source have informed her that Miss Vernita actually is not well. So, Carmelie, where's your message? She says, one of your top fans was found unconscious yesterday. Our prayers go out to her and her family. So Miss Vernita is someone that, is a fan to the show. She's always listening. And funny enough, she does tend to message me quite often. And now that Carmelie has said that, I went back and looked at my messages. I have actually not heard from her since it looks like Friday. So she didn't really mention. Sometimes she sends me very long voice notes. I must admit that I don't always have the time to listen to all of them. But yeah, Friday morning, she sent me a message saying, have an awesome day. And normally, she does kind of message quite often, sometimes almost every day. So I didn't really hear from her over the weekend. She's also a customer of mine. But it's not unusual maybe to go a couple days and not hear from her. So I'm very, very sad to hear about this. And I'm understanding that she might actually be in a coma, but I'm hoping that this is, something that the medical experts can actually, do something about. I don't know. I'm not really sure how serious the situation is. Ay. So Denver clarifies, he says, not saying that that's the only thing he's focused on, just hear from many people voicing same opinion. I'm not sure. You're saying that, other people are sharing your opinion, that you're not hearing what else he's working on? Comes down to public relations. That's what it comes down to. Denver, I certainly have given more than one occasion feedback on improvements that can be made in that regard. And like I said, it's not really government communications isn't my job. I see a lot of gaps and I see a lot of things that could be done better. And really and truly, that's a matter for the civil servants. The civil servants run government communications. Yeah, that's their job and their responsibility. And so the premier and other government officials rely on them to get their messaging out there. It's kind of a bit of an interesting relationship because when you think about it, it is, political messages sometimes, but it's government stuff as well. And they rely on a government agency to help them coach their messaging in a way that's effective and reaches the most people. Let me ask you a question, Denver. Until I played those two segments this morning, those two messages they've been out now from the 1st of June, hurricane season started. So that's 4 days ago, Thursday. Did you hear either one of those? I'm just curious because I think, again, there's a lot that happens and that doesn't happen when it comes to this disseminating of government information. And, right now I could show you something that would really knock your socks off. Again, about inefficiency of messaging, people, I think sometimes, there are times that I don't even want to talk about it, Denver, to be honest, because I don't want people thinking that I'm trying to tell them how to do their job, because I'm really, maybe I am, but, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to help the government. But see, he says, first time I'm hearing these messages. And imagine if I decided not to play them this morning for whatever reason, you probably would not have heard them at all. Right now, Governor Jane Owen is off the record with Connor. There's 2 people on Facebook watching that. 2 people. I don't know what the governor's talking about, but I'm sure her messaging might be kind of important. And there are only 2 people watching it. Now, to be fair to them, they have a YouTube channel. On YouTube, he probably has maybe 15, 20 people at the most. So 25 people watching the governor right now. I throw my hands up, and I'm sure she'll go and make the rounds to other people. But I was also looking this morning at somebody sent me, what's her name? Speaker of the House. She apparently was on, and she has less than 100 views. I think it was 99 people watched her on another show. Listen, if these people don't know how to reach y'all with their messaging, I'm not hired to do that job. And so I can only tell you that they will understand how important communications is come around the next election and going forward. And this isn't even about the election. This is about government, core government getting on board with how to reach people in this day and age. This is 2023. Having these community meetings, for example, for this, what's it being called? The border, they're trying to redo the electoral commission, right? And they're considering redoing some of the borders, whatever. That's really an important discussion. I can't tell you how that could change districts. It's going to make some districts bigger. It's going to, some districts, like say, for example, Breakers might actually become part of East End. It's going to push the boundaries out. And 99.9% of you haven't been to any of those meetings. You don't know what's going on. You haven't heard any messaging about it. Just last week, I had civil servants reaching out to me. When I heard that it was happening, the very first meeting that they had, which they did have on Zoom, I attempted to bring that on our platform. The connection was so poor that unfortunately I could not even do it. I did my best. It was just the internet was poor, the connection was poor, and there wasn't anything that I could do. So you guys don't know what's going on. You're not hearing the messaging, and they're certainly not coming on this platform. We've messaged them. We've reached out on numerous occasions to say, hey, can we have them come on, explain what this is all about? We've got civil servants, private sector. Everybody's asking, Sandy, what is this? I don't understand it. What does it mean? And, it's just not happening. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
And in a lot of instances, politicians will do things in a certain way just to check a box to say, well, we did that. Just to give the veneer of democracy so that they could move on with what they want to do. And I think it's really sad that, people don't take the interest in understanding. For example, just take the Boundaries Commission meeting. They don't take that serious enough to be involved in it.
Well, can I put it to you this way, Denny? And I think this is the point that I'm trying to make here this morning. The way in which people used to engage 20 years ago with government, going out to meetings, is no longer how the average person engages.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't have an issue with what you said in relation to that. That's correct. But what the problem is, right, is that someone somewhere had to have heard about it. Okay. And if you hear about something that's really important that's happening, like, let me give you an example. The average person might be quick to share a certain type of joke by messenger because, well, that gets their interests for whatever reason. But the same thing doesn't happen with important subjects like Boundary Commission. And, even if the government didn't do a good job of um, spreading the word, why isn't it that people who take an interest in these issues don't spread the word?
Well, let me use myself as an example. I'm interested in this topic. I want to learn more. I would love to be able to spread the word, but I don't have the information. So I need the Electoral Boundaries Commission, whoever they are, to actually come on the program and educate both me and the general public. So it's not for lack of not wanting to share the information, but if I don't have the information, I mean, I think they might have sent out a press release, and I keep telling them that the vast majority of people don't read. That's another way of making sure that you hide information from people. Put it in a book, put it in a press release.
Well, I did hear you raise it before, so you did put it on the radar, but so the public is hearing you highlight something that is important, but takes no interest. It's like, the way I see it is that the public wants to go out on let's say out on a 12-mile bike, and they want to go fishing, right? And fishing is their goal, so that's what they're focused on. They're not focused on the fact that you need a stable platform upon which to fish. Okay. What's undermining that platform is a leak. It's being ignored. It's that's not something you want to focus on. Because you need the money, you're focusing on fishing. But you have to understand that the necessary things that you see that need to be done in life have prerequisites. And so all of this stuff that we're talking about here rely upon boring things like boundary commissions and other legal concepts that are not the most exciting subjects to talk about, but they're important subjects. Right? And what I'm lamenting is that we have a population that, I don't know if it's that they view politics as something that is unnecessary, undesirable. I don't know what the correct word to use is, but for whatever the reason is, there's no real focus on important issues. I wonder what the Caymanian people will say when the British starts talking about that when British citizens come here, after 5 years, they want them to be able to stand for election to the legislature, and to be able to vote as well. What are they going to say when the British starts making that demand? Are they actually paying attention to what the British is doing? You see what I'm saying? We're distracted. Yes, some things might be urgent, but there are some things that are crucial, that while these urgent things are happening, we can't fail to take care of the important things. I physically went to the first meeting that you're talking about, that the poor connection was in relation to. And I listened, and I participated, and there are serious decisions that need to be made. There are some concepts that I feel will require, or should require, constitutional change to address them. And one of the problems is that when we think about how the constituencies are drawn up, there's a requirement that they respect the historical district boundaries. But in order to do that, you end up with an even more absurd situation. And when it was done, there wasn't real, I remember the discussion, there wasn't really any support to move to allow the constituencies to stretch beyond the boundaries of the historical, what was then the districts. And I kind of dislike that, because what it's actually doing it's skewing the situation and amplifying the problem more. And this is why now we're at the place where we're talking about whether Bodden Town will take in part of East End or North Side, or whether North Side and East End will be consolidated into one in order to get that number to be more in line with the other constituencies in terms of quantity of people. But you see, what we're actually focusing on when we do that is the word equity. And what politicians are focused on is equity of numbers regarding their role as to how many people they represent. And this is what's causing the issue. These are the idea that the constituency can't overlap a historical Georgetown boundary or Bodden Town boundary. That's what's causing the problem. And what they're proposing that the solution is most likely going to be or should be is that you add 2 more members to the House. So you'd have 21 MPs instead of the 19. Well, let me tell you what worries me about that. Essentially, what is happening is the view is developing that for roughly every 1,000 to 1,500 people, you'll get another MP. Do you understand how large the parliament will become if that is the precedent, that is the trend, and if we follow that logic 20, 40 years down the road? What just recently, can't remember the year, Germany, the German people had a revolt in which they reduced their parliament from, I think it was 600 and something down to 400 and something MPs. So they had a significant reduction. So in other words, I don't think that 5 or 10,000 people is too much for a representative to represent. But we can't have that kind of conversation with the current concept that you can't cross the historical boundary enshrined in the Constitution. So how do we get to a consensus about what should be done if people are not going to participate? But I agree with you. I personally think that having the government or the committee the members come on to your program and have a discussion with the public would be far more effective in having that public conversation. And it's unfortunate that it didn't occur. Very unfortunate.
All right. Thank you, Denny. Appreciate it.
Take care.
936-2626. The question really is, how would you like, and I'm trying to bring up this question here in the show for you guys. I'm just working on this. But how would you like for government agencies, departments, even politicians to communicate with you? What is it that you're reading, watching? Give your feedback. How can they reach you? Right? You can't expect them to come knocking at every person's door, obviously. They need to use mass communication. And then the question then becomes, what mass communication methods are most, useful for you to be able to hear the message? So let me just see here now. I'm trying to see if I can bring up this. If I can bring up this questionnaire for you guys to take. Okay, I think I've done it. This is my first time doing it, so y'all got to forgive me. Here, try scanning that barcode and tell me. We only have 2 questions. We're going to do it easy. Go ahead and scan that barcode, and apparently you can vote right away. and it'll give you live results. So I'm trying this. I'm telling you, this is literally the first one I've ever done. So if we don't get it 100% right, we'll certainly, I'll be learning this by tomorrow's show, improving upon this. But go ahead and scan that and cast your vote. And then we in theory can see votes results in real time. So scan it, put in your votes. The first question, there's 2 questions. The first question is, how many people have attended any boundary commission meetings? And I mean the current set of meetings that they're having, not meetings from 10, 15 years ago. So go ahead and scan and cast your vote now. I'm going to encourage everyone on WhatsApp as well. Let me just send out a quick WhatsApp message to go ahead. And if you're obviously on the radio listening, you can log on to Facebook, YouTube, or somebody can grab the barcode and send it to you. So we do have a caller who's joining us. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Not bad, darling. How you doing?
Not too bad either. I'm grateful for another day.
Yes, hope you had a good weekend.
Yes, I did. And you?
Very good.
Yeah. Last weekend, yeah, I think so. My husband and my son gave me and a friend of mine, a very good friend, which is in the car with me right now, helicopter ride around Grand Cayman. Very interesting to do, very interesting to see, and to see how we're being destroyed and chopped up. But anyway, was very interesting because I always wanted a helicopter ride. Anyway, it wasn't that I called in for. It was, the children that we seen coming off, they had 1 million, off the helicopter had 1 million in one. You could see that because they were grinning all over, questions being asked and stuff like that. Anyway, you mentioned about for the politicians or the MPs to go from door to door before election. That's what they were doing.
Well, some of them. I've seen some of them. But sorry. Let me be fair to the politicians, though. Let me be very, very fair, right? Even if they have a constituency that is, say 1,000 people, do you realistically think that for every issue that comes up, your MPs are going to be in a position to go to not just those 1,000 homes, because people move? One person mentioned earlier, people get registered in one district and then they turn around and they move from another district, and they're moving all over the place. Do you actually expect politicians to do that?
No, Sandra, by all means, that's not what I'm getting at.
Oh, okay.
What I'm getting at, they could when they wanted to. What I'm getting at is for them to at least get on your radio show, on.
Yes, they could definitely reach out. Yeah.
Yes, and Radio Cayman, because our premier have the time to do it, and he does it, and I'm proud of that. But you seldom, and I must say too, Minister Brian, you seldom hear the rest, but you heard them when election was going on. That's what I'm getting at, Sandra. Yes. After all, if we the people can make time to listen to them, why can't they listen to us? Thank you, Sandra. And that was my meaning of the whole thing. Take Gigi for a helicopter ride.
Not sure she's ready for that yet, but yes. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, my dear. So 936-2626. No, I agree. And I also think that not just the current MPs, but even the ones who didn't get in and almost got in, I'm always shocked and surprised that they honestly disappear. I cannot listen. The ones who are going to jump up 1 month before, 2 months before, even 6 months before the next election and start going around making the rounds again wanting you to publish stuff that they're doing and that they're up to. I am honestly going to say to them, are you kidding me? You know, I'm going to be shaking my head. I'm always surprised that they do it every single time. So Vernita says the station went off and rebooted itself. This is radio station. Hold on one second. Let me just check it myself on my phone. I can actually go online and have a look. I mean, on my end, it's fine. So I don't want to touch anything. Let me just have a look and see. I can actually go online and have a look. I'm online. No, that's radio. That's live radio. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on for you. What rebooted, but try refreshing, but it's still online. All right. So we're trying to do this poll. Like I said, this is the first time. You should be able to scan it and vote. Are you guys getting the poll question? That was the first question. Let me see if I can pull up. And I thought that this was supposed to give you results. Like I said, this is my first time doing it. I see a few of you have voted already. So we will get better with this as we actually figure out what the heck we're doing. I'll put the link in the discussion area as well. Let me see here now. So the idea is you've got this barcode that you can scan. It'll give you the question. Let me see how to actually view the results. Okay. So yeah, we've had some of you vote. How do we bring the results up? View all poll results. There we go. Let's see now. So, okay. So this is the results so far. Now I'm like I said, I'm going to play around. This is me just playing around with this, but I'm actually going to do my homework after the show today. I'm adding this to my to-do list so that we can ensure that we know how to do this properly. So 80% of you, and we don't have a whole lot of people in yet, so keep scanning the barcode. I'll put it back up. 80% of you said that you did not know anything about these meetings. So that's interesting. 80% surveyed so far said that they knew nothing about the meetings. That's interesting. All right, let me see if we can get the next question up. So quiz number, oops. Let me just go back here. So there's two questions. I was trying to make it super easy today. So let's start the quiz. Yes, so we're going to share. I'm going to send the code for the next one. And then I want you guys to participate in that one as well. All right, so 80% didn't know about it. 20% said that they didn't go. So far, not a single person. Danny, you need to go. You need to go participate in this poll. But so far, not a single person has said that they have participated in the poll. I mean, in any of the meetings that the Boundary Commission has had. This is kind of sad. I mean, I hate to say it. The next question is, how many of you have watched an online Zoom session from the commission? So I think you can scroll across. It should be the same barcode because it's the same present in a new tab. Hold on. It is the exact same question. It's like a two-part question 1 and 2. So yes, how many of you have watched? So question number 2. How many of you have watched an online Zoom session from the commission? So they've had, I think, about 3 or 4 meetings by now. Even if you did not attend in person, did you at least watch it via Zoom? Anybody? Please go in and vote, and we'll show those results as well. So far, all of you are saying that question number 1, you basically, how this works, for those of you who might not know, let me bring you up to speed. You take your phone, go into the photo, like you're going to take a photo of it, and it scans a barcode, and you'll see right underneath it is a little yellow tab that comes up. You click on that with your finger, and it opens up on your phone. In fact, give me 1 second here now. I'm going to show you on my phone. Do not message me on WhatsApp, folks. I see some of y'all messaging me. I'm going to tell you I'm going to actually show my phone screen. So whatever you do, don't message me because your message is going to pop up in the notification section. So if you're listening, I'm sharing my screen. Do not message me. Okay. All right. So give me 1 second now. I'm trying to remember how to do this. Oh, good grief. My brain being taxed here. This was screen sharing. Give me 1 second now. I'm going to force myself to remember how to use some technology around here. This was, yes, Denny. You keep talking while I try to remember what I need to do.
Well, all I really wanted to say was that I looked at the questions that you asked, and I didn't see an option that fit me. I actually attended the meeting, so I don't have an option.
But the first one says, did you attend? You would say yes. So the first slide, there was a question about if you attended.
Not what I just saw when I looked it up. Let me see.
Hold on a second here.
If yes, I have. Okay, the question says, how many of you have watched an online?
No, that was the second
session?
Question. There's a first one.
Oh, I didn't see the first.
Yeah, so there's a two.
When I just clicked on the link, this is what I saw. Okay. Never mind. All right.
Right. Yeah. So there is a two-part question. Question number 1 and 2. So the first question is whether you actually attended any of the meetings in person, or, I think it's yes, I attended, no, I didn't attend, or I didn't even know anything about it. And then the second question is, okay, if you didn't attend, maybe you watched it on Zoom because they are offering it.
Do you want me to continue talking? Because Johan seems to be upset that I'm talking.
Oh Lord, what is it with you and Johan? I don't really know.
No, I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe you should send him to the hospital, get him do a checkup or something.
What is Johan saying about you this morning? I can't with you little boys. Please behave yourselves. Johan, behave.
No. Yes, that's right. He needs to behave, because if he wants to say something, I suggest he say something that's useful, right? Because what he's doing is really foolishness, and we're talking about serious issues, really, really important issues. And all he seems to be doing is encouraging people to do nonsense when they should really be paying attention. But I like that you have this this thing with the code, but I see that you added the link, which those two should go together.
Okay.
And one, I don't know how the posts work, but
let me
try to get it.
Try to get it
in
now how to do it. Okay. So let's review how to do it. Thank you, Denny.
Okay, check it.
All right, so folks, I'm on my phone, and it shouldn't matter if you're an Android or whatever kind of phone you have, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna open your phone app, your photo app, like taking a picture. So there is that at the bottom for me. I click on that, and then, I'm going to scan that code. And then you see that little yellow link that comes up. So you just touch that with your finger. And once you touch that with your finger, it's gonna bring up the poll for you, which you can now see on my phone. First question. Oh, this is the second question about Zoom. I think you can go back. Can you just scroll on your own to the other question, or is it what I have up on the screen? So how many of you have actually watched online session? So I'm going to vote now. I mean, I tried to watch it, but I was unsuccessful. So I'm going to say, no, I have not. And then you click on send. So you vote and you send in your result. Okay. So it's that easy with your phone. All right, let me pull my phone out of the way. And then I'm going to now go back to the second slide. There should be a way for me to easily go between questions. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can go between. We're very much kind of doing this on the fly. So there's that question. Oh, yes. All right. So this is, we've got results. Okay. This is super interesting. So for the question of how many of you have watched an online Zoom session, we do have some results here. So let me pull this up. So we have some 79% saying again that you never heard of even the Zoom sessions. 14% said that you haven't gone. 7% said that you have gone. So that's good. I mean, that's better than probably what I was thinking it might have been. So some of you have gone to the meetings. Okay. All right. So that's the results so far for the second question. Keep voting though, because the more of you that vote, so I think I need to, give me 1 second. Natasha says it's taking you to question number 2. I think that's my fault. I'm trying to learn this, how to use it really. So I think what it is that every time I select one as being live, it toggles back and forth. So I've just made question number 1 live again. So scan it again, and it should take you back to question 1. So let me know if that looks right. So question number 1 is how many people have attended any of the Boundary Commission meetings so far? This doesn't look like, I'll put question 1 back live. So go ahead and vote on question number 1. I'll give you guys a little bit because it looks like it's still got the older results up. All right, so just scan it again and it will, I'll put it back up on the screen. It should be the same barcode. It's a 2-part question. So I believe that it should be the same. Okay, there we go. So how many of you have attended any of the Boundary Commission meetings? And so far, 80% said they didn't know about it. 20% said no, they hadn't. So Denny, this is your opportunity now to vote. You'll be that one person so far that says that you've gone. Okay. I don't know what's going on with Johan and Denny this morning, but Johan, you've got to really, God, am I really going to have to address Johan this morning? Lord Jesus, why do y'all test my patience? Do y'all not know that I'm not, listen, I'm a mother of 1 for a reason, because I didn't want 10 children taxing my brain every single day, but y'all are going to do it right here on this show, aren't you? Johan, I've said this to you privately before, and now I will say it publicly. Not everybody understands your sense of humor, and sometimes it's a bit misplaced. I've had other people comment, of course, on the things that Johan has said. And I think what it is a lot of people don't get your sense of humor, and they don't appreciate it. And they see your comments. This is what people have said to me. They see Johan as a little bit passive aggressive in the comments that he makes. So it's like a joke, but it's not a very nice joke. And so people don't take well to it. I've had a lot of people say to me, what is it with you and Johan? Do you guys have something going on? Not something going on like that, but like, is there a problem? And I'm like, I don't have a problem with Johan. I'm making this man brownies all the time, getting him super fat. Right? But the comments, right? Like take, for example, earlier he said, CMR equals Today for me, tomorrow for you. That's not a nice comment. And in fact, it's not true. If you keep your head above ground and you keep your nose clean, you never have anything to fear from CMR. So I think, Johan, you might want to consider how your comments are coming across to other people, because other people have been having to say these things to me. And I think the fact that more and more people are saying it means that perhaps your jokes, whatever your intent is, it's not probably landing in the way in which you're intending to land, for it to land. So everybody notices every single time that Denny comes onto the show, you seem to have an issue with Denny. Whatever your issue with Denny is, sometimes what you need to do is just turn the volume down. This is what other people do. They just turn the volume down if somebody comes on that they don't want to hear, right? When they think they're done, they turn it back up, and that's it. They don't engage by calling the person's name and making these comments. So he said, Denny's still chatting. He must be Sandra's sneaky link. But what? All the time he gets to vent. I mean, that's ridiculous. Denny and I have been friends for a very, very long time. I want to say, Denny, in excess of, oh my God, I have to pull up a calculator and figure out how long we've known each other. It's been a really, 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 really long time, for sure. Right? Probably well over 20 years, for sure. And Denny and I don't have to be each other's sneaky links. When we could have been, we weren't. You know, we have maintained a friendship, and that's it. I told you guys that Denny and I traveled to Cuba for the first time together as friends. We even slept in the same bed, pillows between us. Nothing ever happened. There's no fear of contradiction. You know, we've always maintained a friendship, and that's it. So as someone who's a married woman, I don't want anybody going around talking about I have any sneaky links, because I can tell you that that is definitely not the case. Denny's wife has passed away. I don't know what his relationship status is. That really isn't my business. But again, that's not a very nice thing to say. Yeah. Even if you're trying to be funny, that's just not funny. And of course, Denny is taking offense to it this morning. So Johan, consider this a warning, right? That you need to pull back off of your comments, especially when they're directed at individuals. Just make general comments about the issues. That's all I'm saying. Miss Shirley, y'all can see why I don't have no pilot children, right? I really do not have the patience for it. All y'all would be in the corner so fast you wouldn't even know. Listen. Miss Shirley Rolson says this is why district committees are so important. However, only the Honorable Speaker Catherine Wilkes and former Honorable MP Ezra Miller thought enough of their position and people to have district committees. This is the only way we have any chance of our government working for us. Catherine has district committees, has a district committee, but that's news to me, but good for her. I had not heard that. I mean, she lost her entire committee that got her elected. So I guess she needed to replace them in any event. So that's a good thing, I suppose. And how is that working out? I've never heard anything about that district committee and what they're doing and what they're not doing. That particular constituency isn't doing anything amazing. I'm just saying, Shirley, there is a concept about district committees. And I know everyone thinks that a micromanaging of democracy is the way to go in this country. I still say, for me, the verdict is out. I have not decided if that's actually going to be all that beneficial to us. I have my doubts. Even so, if we're to take that constituency as an example, okay, she has district committees. What have they done for the people of, which one is that, Georgetown Central, that you've heard anything about that's been amazing and wonderful? Because I haven't heard a single thing. So again, just to have district committees means what? How effective are these district committees going to be? Denny, question or comment?
I just want to make a distinction between what Mr. Ezra Miller did and what Catherine did. I think the way that Mr. Miller handled it is the more correct way to do it, which is he called his a district committee. What the speaker did in her constituency is she used the term interim district council. That's an inappropriate use of language because it allows her to say that she has a district council when it's in fact no more official than what Mr. Miller did. She was challenged when she had the public meeting about not doing that. She ignored that advice and she went ahead and did it anyhow. These are the kinds of things that some people might not appreciate the importance of that language.
Morning,
Wish
Danny.
politicians
Danny, I
would
don't want
stop
to cut you off, but I had to throw my 2 cents in there this morning. I am from the District of Western, and yes, she has a committee that is doing nothing. Most of those members that was elected for her committee were voters that voted for Mr. Eugene, and he did not get in. Okay, so we either have to vote and stand strong and stop being biased and two-faced, because this is all that is happening in this government and in the election now. Is if the candidate I vote for don't win, then what I do is suck up behind the one that won, right? That's my 2 cents.
Well, how long has this district committee for that?
I think it was done about 2 months ago. It was out in the campus at Loop.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was in campus. I think it was about 2 months ago that it was done. A picture was taken and everything.
Yeah, well,
but
again,
like how I said,
this
the
is all
only
posturing
MP
for
I
me
think is
because we're-
going to go in, or not that I think, the only one that I see fit to go back in is Mr. Andre. No other MP from Western could get my
it's
vote.
so funny because I said the exact same thing this morning. To
Nobody else from Western can get my vote, and I tell you what,
and I don't live in West
nobody
Bay,
else.
to be fair, but
My family, I tell you to go on the street, and most of them voting for Andre. So that's a good 56 to vote to get right there. So, anyways, I leave it there.
thank you, my dear. So somebody says apparently Catherine's committee is an interim district committee. What a hot mess. So someone
No,
says
but
scanning
you
did
see,
not work for me. So are you guys still not getting the first question? I'll try to let me see here now. Oh, looks no. Was anybody able
but
to get
Sandra, my comment doesn't have anything to do with a committee that supports the member. My comment is about an unofficial establishment of what is in essence really just a committee, meaning, see, this is why language is important, because now there's confusion about what is a district committee versus what is a district council. And what she did is, I'm not criticizing her as an MP. Anything that I say has nothing to do with her as a person. What I'm criticizing is an action that she took to use language that is not appropriate. Because if you say that you're going to put in place a district council, then put the district council in place. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying that if that's what you're saying that you're going to do, then do it officially. What she's doing is, instead of doing it officially, what she's doing is instead using the name without the actual official status. And that is wrong, because it creates too much confusion. If the previous caller wants to support the committee, I don't have any problem with that. But that committee to support the minister is not the one that I'm talking about.
So she
I'm
hasn't
talking
created a district council, or she has? I'm confused now.
She has not officially, but she's using the name. She's calling it an interim district
That'll make no sense.
council.
Oh,
I know
one
it
second,
doesn't
we're going
make
to join
any
another caller. Well, y'all have me royally confused about that this morning.
Oh
Caller?
no, then when I called just now, it wasn't about supporting her. I would never support her. So just let me be clear.
I'm talking about the committee.
Oh yeah, but I will never support her committee or her. My vote, an interim something committee, yeah. But they're not doing anything for Western people. What are they doing? You want me to tell you to go honest truth? Each MP in West Bay have their little district, right? Their little section, sorry. West is south, west to west. And like how I said, the only person that is doing anything for the community of West on a whole is Andre. I'm not asking any questions. Catherine got her little group of friends. Mr. McHugh got his group of friends. Bernie got his group of friends. When Christmas comes, they give turkey to who they want. I don't want their turkey. That's for sure. I don't eat it personally, right? So the only people that can benefit from Catherine is her group. And I don't care who like it or who don't like it. She could never get my vote. She will never get my vote. And her committee, I think, is crap. Because most of those members went in and voted for Mr. Eugene. And when Mr. Eugene didn't get in, what they did, they turned. Okay? So this is where we go wrong. We have an issue with ourselves, with being biased, two-faced sometimes. $200 can buy a lot of their votes. It can't buy mine. I want $1 million for my vote. So, you know,
Set
so
it
that's
high
what I
so
leave
they
it.
can't buy you out, child.
Yeah, they can't buy mine.
Yeah.
I got vote for George.
Lord Jesus, he can't run, so that'll solve that problem. All right, caller, thanks very much. Denny, anything further?
Yeah, so these are the kinds of things that that MPs should be coming on your program and talking about, so that we could iron these things out and have clarity. I personally believe that the reason why the language was chosen was to have a veneer of achieving district council. But in reality, they're unofficial. Right? What Mr. Miller did was he deliberately did not use the word council. He used the word committee, which is the appropriate thing to do, so as to not create confusion.
Well, this is her interim district council, because that's what she's calling it, right? So,
well,
and how were these people selected? What's the process of selecting?
No, but when she had the meeting, she was calling it committee. I'm sorry, district council, interim district council. That's what she was calling it when they were having the meeting in West Bay, because someone contacted me about it.
Yes.
Complaining, well, I didn't know they were implementing district council, and I'm like, well, I didn't know that either. So.
All right. I don't know. I'm confused.
Well, I agree with you. You know that the kind of accountability that people think they will achieve from those district councils, I'm not convinced that's going to happen, because what the problem is that the way it's structured in the Constitution is that if you were to implement them as prescribed in the Constitution, they are advisory to members, which means that the councils could say all of the right things perfectly. And all the MPs are required to do, because it's advisory, is to consider what was said. And all they would do is say, okay, I consider it, and then ignore it. That's all they're legally required to do. Anyhow, take care.
More bloating of government, I think, really is the last thing in the world that we need. I'm sorry, but I could not support that. And I think that's exactly what's going to be created here. So RD Limited says people just want a district council so that they can have someone else to go to and complain or beg from. RD goes on to say people need to get off of their you know what and do for themselves instead of depending on politicians to solve their problems. Siobhan has a chuckle about $1 million for your vote, but yet you said you can't be bought. Well, I think the point, Siobhan, is she's setting it so high, and this is why I always say set your price high, then nobody can buy you out. So she knows nobody not gonna offer her $1 million for her vote, so that's why she's saying she can't be bought. You know, somebody jokingly said to me last night, we had some friends over playing Ludi, and one of them jokingly said to me, "Oh, I heard that DART is going to be buying CMR," and I laughed and I said they can't afford it. You just set your price high. They can't afford it. Now, of course, we know DART got some deep pockets, so they could afford anything, but it's just not up for sale. Yes, there's no price right now, and I know this sounds crazy, and y'all think I'm crazy, but there's only so much money in the world that any person needs, and I have enough. I'm living okay. I don't need much more than what I have. What am I going to do with all this money? Oh, I'd buy land, I suppose. Future proofing this little island for my daughter, buy some land for her, honey child. But other than that, I'm good. I don't need any bigger house. I'm already tired of walking from one room to the next. The bigger your house, the more junk you find to put in it, and the more cleaning you have to do. And Lord knows I don't want any more of either of those things really going on. So I'm good. 4,000 square feet is plenty room. Believe me, you. Some days more storage. I don't think you can ever have enough storage, but that's because, like I said, you find stuff to fill holes. It's like the handbag. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You got a small handbag, miraculously, nothing's in it. You go get yourself a big handbag. What do? Stuff it with all kind of junk. And then you're like, why is my bag so heavy? I feel like I'm carrying on a brick. Anyway, some things are just not up for sale is the bottom line. And it is what it is. So somebody sent a picture saying this was her committee. This is her district council, interim district council. Okay. I don't know how those people were selected or anything, but I think we don't need to muddle the waters is the truth, right? District committees, district councils, what are they doing? What are they not doing? Does she have anybody working in her office? I mean, I don't really know what that's all about. But again, what I want to say to you, the listeners, is that all MPs need to really, really get it together. Now, some have it more together than others, to be fair. I do know, for example, the Newlands and Savannah constituency, because, again, I guess the premier can afford to do so. He's got multiple people working full-time on his team. So he's got Miss Rhonda Kelly. She does a lot of stuff. That's why he's doing like the diet nutrition, community things. He has gardening. He's putting together a lot of those types of things at the constituency level. And he's got, full-time Miss Debbie is there in his office. And, they're keeping office hours. I guess if you live in Savannah or Newlands, you would know. And the crazy thing is there are people who don't even live in Savannah and Newlands who just show up to their door getting information. So I'm going to leave this poll open. You guys can go and vote on it a little bit later on. Maybe tomorrow's program, we'll discuss a little bit more about it. But so far, it seems like the vast majority of people did not attend any boundary commission meetings. So now we're at 78%. So somebody else voted that they didn't know anything about it. 22% said that they did not attend. And nobody, Denny, have you not voted in this one yet? Nobody says that they have. He's the only person that I know of that actually went to any of these meetings. So that was the first question. The second question, let me just see if I can pull it up here, is how many of you watched it on Zoom? Somewhat similar numbers. So never heard of it, 79%. 14% didn't watch it, so that's assuming that they heard of it. And 7% says that they did watch it. So what we'll do, folks, is obviously, like I said, this is my first little real-time poll that I'm doing. I mentioned this last week. I think it was Mr. Denver that I was saying to him that I was planning on, starting to use polls more often during the show. So you guys can vote, whether you're on the chats or not. I want you to be able to vote and we can discuss some of the results. We'll start off small because not a whole lot of people have voted, but we'll grow. These numbers will continually grow. I want you guys to participate in these because this gives me an idea of what I'm thinking, because I might be thinking in my head that, yeah, nobody heard about these, nobody went. That was my sentiment. Are the numbers going to confirm that or not? So when you vote, we can actually see a bit more of what's going on. So we'll do a couple of these a week to kind of just take the pulse of the community on these different topics. And of course, you're always free to call in 936-2626. So Sandra Cole, good morning to you. Says Sandy is our district committee, 100%. Well, I don't know if I want to take on that role because, like I said, I have my doubts about whether or not a district committee will even be effective. But I do appreciate you guys always saying that, we're the pulse, we're the voice of the community. I want to talk about something now that I received yesterday because I want to make sure that people understand very, very clearly where we are, right? So people send me requests all the time. Sandy, I need help with this and that and whatever. I need assistance, electric bills, all sorts of stuff. I want to be very, very clear, however. One of the things that I will never do, is I will never help you break the law. Especially, somebody says government is already top heavy. Talking about district council is going to get worse. Especially when it comes to immigration violations. Please I'm not the person that you come to and you ask, oh, Miss Sandy, can you take out a work permit for me? Or can you help my sister who we ain't got? No. Don't even ask me, folks. To me, that is the greatest insult as a Caymanian, right? I'm not into no fake and arranged marriages. I'm not the one. I wish that we all would respect our immigration laws. The mere fact that we have people here who do not respect our immigration laws, to me, demonstrates how little you all care about this country. Every single one of you who have engaged in these marriages of convenience, you are destroying the Cayman Islands one fake marriage at a time. You're bringing undesirable people to our shores, and we do not want them here. If they can't get here the right way, the legal way, follow the rules to come here, you don't need to be here. It's as simple as that. Right? I mean, God knows it doesn't take much for y'all to fall in love on a normal and go through the courting, relationships and get married the right way. Half of those not going to work out anyway. But at least it's not, the premise of the relationship is not entirely fraudulent. So if you're here and you're looking, I'm going to show you guys why this conversation is even a topic. If you're like this person says, hello, Miss Sandy. Sorry for the message at this hour. I know you have a large audience in Ireland, and I'd like for you to keep me private. I'm a Mason who had a valid work permit, and I'm here searching for jobs as I'm not into a company. If anyone has any job, which they'd be delighted to take on another person, I'd be more than grateful. They can contact you and you can reach out to me if there's any success, or they can communicate on the post and I'll reach out directly. Thank you. And so I said, good morning. And I was reading this thinking, what is this person saying to me now? And I said, I'm not too sure I'm understanding this. So I say, a little confused about how you have a work permit and no job, though. This is me. They respond, says the job we were doing has just been completed. So for the time being, I'm looking for some work to occupy my time until the other projects come through. Folks, this is not how this is supposed to work. If you work in construction, if you work in whatever, janitorial, whatever, your work permit isn't per job. Your work permit is to an employer who has told immigration that they are going to pay you, right, a salary, whether it's by the hour or a set amount per month. So whether they have work for you or not, they are supposed to be paying you. So you see my response to this person, I said, yes, but that's illegal. Your employer has to have constant work for you. Even if they don't have constant work for you, because you could understand in construction, sometimes some jobs may be like, okay, next project coming up. But honey child, you're not supposed to be going out there working for somebody else on other projects, people who do not hold your work permit. Be very, very clear. I cannot be part of this type of a situation. Don't message me asking me these types of things, because you will not be getting a post on CMR for this type of thing. I'm sorry. It just ain't happening. This is a breach. And when I say a breach, I mean a direct breach of the immigration laws of the Cayman Islands. So how on earth do you expect me to be part of this? That don't make no sense. I cannot, and I will not be part of it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. You're breaking the law. Your employer is breaking the law. The person goes on to say, oh, they didn't know that. And, their employer never tells them anything. So I'm like, your employer has a responsibility to ensure that you're not in breach of the law. Now, if the employer was actually paying them as they should be, this wouldn't be happening. This person would not be out there looking for work. I want to implore all of you to consider very, very carefully what happens when someone is out there looking for work because they have employers who are not, who are not paying them as they should. Now, if this poor guy can't find any work, what do you think the logical outcome will be? Well, he's going to go out there and he's going to find work to do. Legal or illegal, by hook or by crook, one way or the other. That's how it works, folks. So you have got to, I don't know who his employer is, but you've got to stop taking out work permits for people when you know you're in no position to pay them in between jobs. I bet you if you'd put on the immigration form that you're only going to pay him every time you have a job, that work permit would have never, ever been approved. And with good reason. Yeah? Get it together, folks. This is a really, really bad situation that you guys are actually putting your workers in. Now, we can't expect much out of the people out in these streets, believe me, these so-called employers. We didn't get to talk about the construction one yet, but we're going to look at that tomorrow because I need to carefully review that video because I just looked at it at a glance, and I can't say whether or not there was any profanity in it. So I need to make sure I review that before playing that on air. But this is a situation where you've got a crazy construction lady. Everybody's talking in the streets. She doesn't like to pay her workers. So there's guys running around trying to get paid. We need to put a stop to this stuff. Right? Seriously, it has got to stop. Now, if the people have no conscience, the so-called Caymanians who are taking out work permits for people have no conscience about what they're doing. They're charging people for work permits. They're doing the most illegal things in the world. We have to rely on the government, the civil servants to close the gap, the legislators, the MPs to close the gap. We know what industries are ripe for this type of abuse. So they need to be scrutinized, extra scrutinized. Right? Listen to me. This is so simple to resolve. All employers should not just be providing a contract of employment, pay slips to their employers. We now need bank statements to show the money going into people's accounts and not coming out. Okay? Close this gap. Elected officials, listen to me carefully. We have got too many people taking advantage. We got a population of 80,000. That's not the problem. The problem is what percentage do we have that are taking advantage of the system and allowing people to basically enter our country to then be in a precarious situation where they cannot even pay their bills. I had someone who's a landlord yesterday said, Sandy, this is really causing a lot of issues. They said, this is a problem I'm having now. My freaking tenants, they're not paying my rent because of then they use a couple expletives, which I can't use, and they said sorry. And it's not that they are not getting paid when they don't work. So yeah, this is BS. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's got to stop. We need to nip the marriages of convenience in the bud. And this is another one. People taking out work permits to people, and they do not have work for them. So we see it all the time in these nanny groups and whatever. Oh, I have a helper, but I only need her 2 days a week. Well, if that's the case, then you can apply for somebody else to do a shared permit. They pay their piece to immigration, and immigration is supposed to be informed and know what's going on. And you split the pension, you split whatever else, this person is supposed to have. We need it to stop. And immigration enforcement also needs to get it together. Make these employers demonstrate to you that they are actually paying people their salary. Government, cut this foolishness out. You've made it too easy for people to come here and jump on top of any full Caymanian and get residency through marriage. And now we are getting the lowest of the low. And they are taking advantage and raping and pillaging the system as much as they possibly can. And it's not benefiting anyone except those few individuals taking advantage, because guess what? It's not even benefiting the people here in a work permit, because then they're stranded here with no work, can't pay their bills, and some of them are starting to resort to all sorts of illegal activity, prostitution, gambling, and all sorts of other stuff. I'm not telling you. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. RD says that Cayman is full of hustlers and scammers. We have plenty of Caymanians now that are opening such scams. It's all a money grab. Operating such scams, sorry. Miss Brenda says they're being facilitated by our own. People always find loopholes, and it's made easier when you're assisted by the very people who should be closing the gaps. And not only that, to be quite frank and honest with you, but like I said, a lot of it's happening when I say Caymanians, I'm using the term legally. There's the same people that come in through these fraudulent marriages. They're the ones setting up all these construction companies and otherwise that are doing the most damage. Immigration, that it's a lot of construction, landscaping, and janitorial cleaning businesses. Tackle them first. Ms. Brenda says, if anyone thinks that district councils isn't necessary or will not be effective, you should read the CI Constitution. The law is being broken by refusing to implement them. As I said, if you know or understand the importance of district councils, you wouldn't oppose them. I'm not talking about the importance of them. I'm talking about the practicality of it. I am 80% sure they are not going to work in the way in which, just like one man, one vote, all y'all like, yeah, one man, one vote is going to be more accountability, more of this, more of that. Let's put in place. And now y'all crying can we change it back? Be careful what you wish for. I have no faith in district councils whatsoever. It's going to be extra bloating of government, more political appointments, more foolishness that we have to be dealing with, and more people who want to get into politics, who want to become MPs, and they're going to see district councils as a stepping stone to be able to get there, which will equal more infighting. Me, I'm not convinced one ounce. Dean Shillette says this has been happening for years now. Don't depend on the government to do anything about it, because government themselves is the problem. What a hot mess. Oh my gosh. This is a result when you get people, when your country isn't run by the people that you vote for and elect. Well, the civil servants are running this show, to be fair, and they always have been. Live says, and then they're pushing out the anchor babies. Yes, honey child. Now, there's a rumor floating around that a woman committed suicide on Friday. It's a rumor, because she was part of one of these marriages of convenience, paid this man, or this man paid her money. And then for some reason, she started to have feelings for him. It was just a business transaction for him. They just got married in January. Somebody even sent me the photo, the wedding photo. She started to have feelings and wanted to be in a relationship with him, like for real. Even willing to give him the money back, I heard. And he refused, because he's got his woman out there living his best life. And so the word on the street is she died from a drug overdose. We'll wait till the police confirm that. The autopsy confirms it, and then I'll let y'all know. But that's what people are talking in the District of West Bay. Can y'all imagine that? What a hot mess. This is where we're going now? You kill yourself over some fake marriage? I hope to God it's not the case. Because girl, you are worth so much more than that. What does killing yourself gonna accomplish? He's still here. And you know what is so crazy? I bet you one thing. Immigration is not gonna be in a position now to strip him of his status because he died whilst being married to a Caymanian. So now he is friggin' set for life, if you can believe that. Let me cut the radio. I think we're off radio anyway, but let me just disconnect it just in case, because I'm going to use some expletives here. That bullshit, right? Why the hell you can harm yourself over some no good man, probably from Tivoli Gardens? Girl, please. Caymanians, y'all have got to do better. You've got to find your self-worth. I'm sorry, but the trash that you all are picking up from all over Kingdom Come, nobody that adds any value to your life, nobody that adds any value to the community that we call the Cayman Islands. Get your shit together just for a couple dollars, and you spend the money in no time and not doing you no good even. Like I said, I hope the rumors are not true, but that's what's being circulated in the district. Kind of job, people calling me, telling me all about it. I was like, wow, now that is next level ridiculous if it's true. Wow. All I could do is shake my head, honey child. Some of these bitches will, excuse my language, but some of them will even poison you because it's a business transaction for them. They just want to be able to stay here with no hassle. What do you think? You think they care about you? It's a money transaction. They're killing people in their own damn country. What do you think? They kill you too. Y'all better get it together. Okay, when did Caymanians become so stupid and so fool? What happened to us? When did we get desperate for a little man? I mean, I know there's a man shortage around the place. I realize there's more women here than men, but my God. Y'all sharing them anyway? Just find another one to share? I mean, really? Don't kill yourself off of these fools. Please don't get pregnant by them. We don't need no more anchor babies guaranteeing them. So when you finally wake up and you decide to divorce them, they're still not going nowhere because you have an anchor baby situation on your hands. It's like, come on. No, sir. But you see, this is the thing. Miss Brenda, they're getting it immediately now. So they're getting PR right away when you're married to Caymanian. They need to undo that law. They need to change it. It's too easy. Good morning, caller.
Auntie Sandy,
Yes, my dear.
please behave yourself and stop talking foolishness, because if Don Marlon or me give up on you, you know you will kill yourself as well.
You fool. Come off of my radio.
I'm calling, seriously. I want to call and apologize to Danny Warren. I didn't realize how sensitive he was, and I didn't mean to embarrass him and cause him to have like a little nervous breakdown on radio. You and I have a great sort of weird, awkward, wonderful friendship where we take the piss out of everything. And obviously, I thought Danny was man enough to understand sarcasm. But so be it.
Maybe it's too much, Johan. Listen to me now.
No, I don't talk about Denny. I've said what I said. I don't give a shit about Denny, to be honest with you. Good luck, Denny, with life.
Generally speaking, because Denny's not the only person who has shared comments about your comments, right? So generally speaking, maybe people just don't get it, and you could do with pulling back a little bit on it. That's just my suggestion. Take it or leave it. I'm just saying.
No. Listen. You and I argue about many different things, and we have a very colorful, topsy-turvy relationship. If other people don't get it, that's their perspective. I just didn't understand. Never mind. It doesn't matter. That's their opinion. That's what they're entitled to. Knock yourself out. But just because I don't want to end up in the back of the class like Alejandro and Jamila and everybody else that normally I see in the back of the class with me, I just thought I'd call in and apologize, because you provide a quality service on a daily basis to Cayman. Some of the positions that you champion, there's nobody else in Cayman history that takes it on, head on the way that you do. Yeah, there's some things you get wrong, but we all make mistakes. I find it entertaining, informative, and all the rest of it. And there's a reason why CMR is the number one information source and place that people listen to in the morning. So I just wanted to call and share that with you. But you can't be hating on people. They find love where they find love. You have Marlon, you got me, so you good. You know what I mean? That's just the way it's going to be. Have a good day, Auntie Sandy.
Right, thank you. So somebody says,
Bye.
I love your hand sense of humor. Well, you know, if you get it, you get it. What a hot mess. So yeah, this is quite, as Brenda says, then you need to impress upon your friend, the premier, to act on this. Well, listen, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times already now. I'm blue in the face about this. This loophole needs to be closed immediately. This is a very, very serious situation. I'm not in favor of any sort of foolishness like this whatsoever. Anyway, we'll bring you more news as we know it in terms of that situation. But yes, these immigration loopholes need to be closed. People are getting too comfortable being in marriages of convenience. And let me tell you something. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not the one to be messaging. If I know that you're a marriage of convenience, the first people I'm notifying is immigration. Take that. And I don't care who you are. You could be my sister, my mama, my dad, and my this woman. I don't give two hoots. Right? If I suspect it and I know it and I have evidence or reasons to believe it, I am going to message immigration about your stupid behind and say, look, yeah, another marriage of convenience. Go get your evidence. I'm just saying. Beautiful folks. That's all I've got for you. The next time we do the polls, hopefully I'll be a little bit more versed in how to do them correctly. I will work on that, and we'll do more polls. But continue to vote, because I'm going to leave that one live, I think, for a little bit. Melita says, oh, no, you didn't just say that, Johan. Sandy, Johan kissing up to you now, child. Put him in the back of the class. Oh, Lord. Oh, I can't even. Anyway, y'all, please have a safe day. Enjoy the sunshine. I think we might have mostly sunshine today. Enjoy the sunshine. Do your hurricane preparedness. We're going to try to get some updates on Miss Vernita. Again, the word on that situation is that she fell into a coma. I was shocked to hear that. I did not know that. She's a good friend to the program. But she's messaging me this morning. I think these people confused. What? Carmelie, you don't come with your bad news that's not even accurate, nah? No, sir. She messaged me this morning. Well, I got a message from her phone. I'm going to call her and check on her. Because that's we can't be dealing with no misinformation. But anyway, we can pray for everybody regardless. Y'all need good health. I am a little bit confused, so I'm going to call her right now and see how she's doing, what's going on. Maybe it's somebody else that fell into coma and they're confusing. I don't know. Some of y'all be so confused. Somebody dropped dead, you confuse them with somebody else. I had that last week. I was like, no, that's not the person who died. Now, you know what bad one, Sandy? I got to tell you who died, because I don't know half the people who be dying anyway. Anyway, be good, beautiful folks. Tune in tomorrow morning, 7:30 p.m. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.